need to go. So we're going to take a look at our odds from our betting partners at Loot Bet and see exactly how they weigh this matchup here. And indeed, they do favour the Fate side, so I guess that veto has indeed rocked them a little bit here. If you want to take advantage of those odds, then you can go to Loot Bet and the banner underneath the Twitch channel. Take advantage of our 10 free CSGO spins plus 100 euros bonus for your deposit only at our betting partners at Loot Bet. Pistol setups is the defuse kick coming in for Nikki, utility for Kalinka and JR. This is a common B setup where all Hellraisers lean towards the B side.
Well, it looks like Fate are leaning towards A, having a gamble stack to start the round off, complete banana control coming in, and there has been no contest to come out from the Fate side. The B player, Patrick, is very, very deep into the bomb site, not looking to aggress to any of this top banana control. So for Hellraisers, they can just keep walking and not making any sound, set themselves up for the stock standard execution.
Patrick, lone holder of the defensive on this B Coffin's position, shoulder baiting, seeing the smokes come down, knowing exactly what his setup is. It is going to be a fast play into B. His teammates are going to stack up brackets and make their way wrap around towards the banana control and the banana backstab. Got JR already there to receive them at the broken wall. Will jump face, take that contact, see them all coming. Bomb plant will be secured. 5-on-5 for the retake here. And JR held back passive around this corner. Gonna have to wait for players to come towards him. Block against that quick headshot. Mar follows suit on Kalinka. 5-on-3. Problem has snuck his way back towards the CT cross, but Patrick's back even further out towards CT spawn. Now converging in against Problem. Going to try to take him down. Patrick gets that frag. They work in. Mar's going to get low. Lion does come with a frag back. 2 kills. A Flourish. Just Lion doubles up of his own. And just like that, a 5-on-2 works well for Hellraisers from out of nowhere. The pistol goes their way.
How? Literally, how did that happen? There is no way in which Hellraisers should be able to win out that round. That is a 2-on-5 post plant. So many kills come out from the Fate side on the retake. And out of nowhere, the player of Flourish back towards the second Oranges position and Lima Coffins, they somehow establish an unreal crossfire and bring that round back. That is literally unbelievable, Jay.
Well, I didn't believe it at first. The scoreline says otherwise, though. Pistol the way of Hellraisers. What a start from these boys. Double nades up as well. Couple to take Hart down in the boiler room. The MAC-10 will move in, get that kill. Flourish actually takes it away with the nade instead. Couple of kills come back from the SMG and Eagle force brought by Mar and Blocker, but Kalinka able to maintain control. Take the MP9 out of CT hands. Deagle facing in. Kalinka gets that kill as well. Patrick on site, no. He does get that frag back on towards him. The 2 AKs remain, and they can rotate back towards the B site safely if they wanted to.
It looks like that's what they're exactly doing, Jay. Backing off. And Patrick doesn't see anyone out towards that pit position, so may have a bit of an inkling that they're going B. He's reading the situation really well. He's got armor and a deagle. This is still very doable.
No kit for this retake, though. Crossing past the gap in that smoke. Lime's going to get a bomb pump over to the Coffins area. As the smoke clears, Patrick will be forced to make his way in. No utility for this. And again, no time for it either. Back past second in towards Dark. Not seeing the man at Dark. Lime's just going to get that headshot in nice and easy. And that'll be a 2-0 for the Hellraisers to kick things off. Probably going to be an eco for Fate as well. And yes, no money in the bank, no force out coming through.
Okay. Well, it seemed like for Hellraisers, it was all about the aggression. We saw the double nade stack out towards Boiler, took a lot of contention from brackets. They didn't maybe not take the easiest of gunfights possible and actually lost out quite a lot there against the force buy from the CTs. Fate not bringing much going into round 3. Couple of interesting camera angles here, Jay.
Gotta get good shots of that utility, yo.
Yeah, absolutely.
Utility will go down towards the B site as the stack is in from the CT camp here towards the short control. MAC-10 facing, gets that 1 kill. Blocker can trade it. The AK stay here for JR will be dealt with by Patrick. Okay. These are eco pistols getting frags on rifles. 4-on-3 situation. Fate. They just save this AK and keep it in check. Nicky's back up to the apartments. The other 3 made their way out towards B site. So how much damage can they do from here?
And not really much. It makes sense to obviously try and save onto the AK, look for exits, see if you can do even more damage, try and keep the economy low on that T side. The problem's certainly going to be heard now. Flashbang coming in is absolutely perfect. Blocker's going to even find Problem. They can recover the MAC-10, but what do they really want to do with that? Not a lot. Okay, that's a really expensive round. Fate could be really happy with that. Yeah, it's a 3-0 start coming out from Hellraisers. It's another round, but They are keeping the economy low, and obviously that AK, very important. The fact that they don't need to invest a single rifle onto Nikki going forward. Do they go for the AWP? It looks like they've opted against it. Patrick had enough money to drop one over. Actually, no. Hahn buys one himself. Doesn't even need it dropped.
Yeah, 4 rifles v rifles, and the money is going to look in a very similar fashion as well. Both buy downs broken. As HELLRAISERS have their AWP set of JR, but you can see what the money looks like for them by comparison to Fate, even after the buy. Even their highest roller is still looking pretty tagged up here. The banana control very early on here for the HELLRAISERS camp. JR still looking for a frag here towards stack position. And past the broken wall, no one is going to be seen for the CT side.
It's not often, right, that we see nades towards top banana and bottom of banana, both for T and CT side, that hardly do any damage. JR gets down to 95, that's it. So a lot of investment in terms of utility comes through from both sides, not really winning out in anything, and the CTs just decide to go really passive on B, allowing the top banana control around broken wall to be taken. HELLRAISERS are now starting to regroup into brackets. They've got Kalinka that's already cleared out most of the apartments. Hahn with a bit of an off angle with this AWP, blind off, and now they'll know where their AWP is.
Everyone gets Mar. Flowers report to block him next up here outside of the long position. Problem's going to take the trade back. AWP swings in as Problem's caught blind, flat-footed at 3-on-3. AWP is the solo holder of the A site though. More utility coming in is going to indicate there's at least 2 players on their way in. All 3 are out here. The scope gives the info, and Hahn couldn't land the shot. Kalinka will take him down. And if he had just waited, if he had just sat back there, he probably could have found the bomb plant. I probably could have found a lot more impact. But as it stands, still go down. And Patrick and Nikki think it's better to save the AKs.
Oh, that's hard to watch. Oh, that's a rough one. And yeah, you've got to think, surely there's no way Kalinka turns around unless that there was a split decision to check behind him, but it looked like there was no way he was going to check that angle. AWP not hitting the shot. That needed to be a vital one. And unfortunately for Fate, the rotations were just so slow. The B players of Patrick and Nikki really took their time. And for the AWPer on the side of Hahn, he needed to be able to find another kill, at least try and stay alive, and that wasn't a possibility. A 4-0 start now up for the HELLRAISERS camp. Now, Fate will be able to buy again, considering how much money Nikki's got. He can drop over an AWP over to Hahn once again. Patrick could drop over an M4. Just some really great entries coming out from HELLRAISERS, especially around that brackets position. They're not forcing. Okay.
Yeah,
this is just unlike the Fate that we normally know, right?
Yeah, I mean, that does indicate a lack of confidence on this map, which can be fair considering it's HELLRAISERS map pick and one of their better maps in the pool. Already got the contact against the AK. Patrick's going to pick that mantle up because Nikki going down early is not a loss you want to take. A 5-on-4 situation. Damage done to Lime and Flourish, but it's not going to mean much in the grand scale of things. HELLRAISERS have full control over the map and the man advantage. Fast hit going to come through though. AK Patrick going to have to be the man to do the damage, and indeed he burns one alive. Got a second AK facing him top of the second stack. Flourish will drop the kill. B250 out here for Problem. Just drop him in the end. So 3-on-3 situation. Bomb hasn't committed towards the bomb site here, and they'll realize that as the top mid regression comes in from Hahn, but HELLRAISERS a little bit caught, staggered here to the B bomb site kit.
I really don't know what the play was there for HELLRAISERS. Now the A bomb site's open up to go through, but they committed to a straight execution to that B bomb site. They've left Flourish here, and now they're going A, so it really comes down to the fact that Flourish can sell this fake as much as possible. Obviously, they'll know that that bomb gets planted. Flourish tries to stay alive for as much time as possible. I don't like that round at all. I think that was just poorly played from the HELLRAISERS camp. The fact that they have so much pressure in an execution to B and not bringing that bomb along, I think that's a big misread, and look how much they've lost because of it.
Yeah, backing up. And Blocker with that AK to hold on to in the next round. At a dodge as well, going to face far away from any of the T-side players and where they're hunting or holding from. So 5-0 start for HELLRAISERS. Yes, the damage has been done to the T-side in quite a significant margin, which again is pretty okay for a half-buy round for Fate. With an investment coming through for this CT camp, this could be quite a little bit to be done.
Do they go double ops? That's what I'm thinking. Fate going with a tactical pause, having a bit of a chat. Now, they're a team that don't really run double ops all too often. Map like Train, certainly. But overall, they're a team that don't really like it. So I wouldn't think that it could come through unless they wanted some sort of idea, something new, something fresh. And you've got to think as well, I know that we've been talking about Solo being the new coach and what have you, but it could be like a new perspective of things, right? You've got a complete Bulgarian team with a Serbian coach. There could be some more ideas or strategies in terms of differentials being upgraded. Even with the money, not going for the double AWP setup, just leaving it on Han to be the AWPer on the city side. And HELLRAISERS, so far, it's looked pretty simple from them. Not all the rounds have been very easy. But this is going to be a big challenge for them to sort of see if they can keep the streak alive, if they can continue putting momentum up on the board.
Shots in problem, big. Takes Han down to kick things off. HELLRAISERS open up the frag counts by opening up with the big fragger, I guess. Oh, not quite big fragger, I mean, just one of the big men of the Fate side. He's only got 1 kill so far, but all the map control taken away. Fate fall back so passive in response to this situation. As HELLRAISERS take banana control, they've only got 1 player to defend against. Nicki this time in a very similar pistol setup, or setup to the pistol round, I should say, this time with an M4 in check. Takes out the bomb planters against the info in the 4 versus 4. Kalinka facing Patrick, though Patrick didn't see him. They just quick rotate back towards the B site, and he's forced to rotate through banana and support his teammates.
Now, at least with Kalinka being the lurk, they'll know that no one's coming up from this banana position. That's a big duel with JR going down, and now it's a man advantage going into the retake scenario from Fate, and they've still got a fair bit of utility to work with.
Patrick and Blocker faced up, spray through from Kalinka, does damage to the first man. Nades up against Nicki and co. He gets tagged to 70, faces in, sees Liam so low, drops the man. The AK faces, sees 2, but he drops anyway to a 1-on-4 now for Problem. Bomb not planted for him, and they know it. They can just continue to suppress, hit the defuse as well. He gets 2 kills on the way out through the smoke. 8 HP to stay alive, but this will be a first round for Fate.
And I'll tell you what, I really would have liked Kalinka to backstab there. I think he thought that he may have been seen, but that actually wasn't the case at all. You saw that Fate had no idea that he was there. And I think that's the reason why Kalinka didn't backstab out from that CT position. Probably would have worked out really nicely rather than coming through banana. HELLRAISERS, after just wide swinging the AWP of Han, they put a load amount of utility into brackets, but a very strong defense over at that B bomb site allows the retake to come through. And an opportunity for Fate to get a bit of a move on this CT side, getting the response through. And has Nicki only got a Zeus? Surely this can't be right.
Maybe he does.
Oh, no, he's got an AK. Oh, okay.
That's just the HUD being a bit weird.
Yeah.
All right, well. Rifles set in for the Fate camp. Smokes down. Molotov's in over on the A-bomb side, going to try and siphon off the likes of, I believe that's Kalinka, facing in towards the long position. They're going to catch a lot of information. Might be able to split his way into the site as well with the main HELLRAISERS force looking towards the banana entrance. Patrick. Set towards Coffin, smokes go over, blinds him off, flashes, and smokes down, and Problem gets that kill immediately. Han able to respond to Kalinka though. 4-on-4 situation. Will they go for a retake here?
I doubt it. Unless they get a kill pretty quickly, I doubt that they're going to go for this. And yeah, that's called it. That has to be a save now. I'm really surprised that Fate is still staying around for this long. And it looks like now they've called it in. The CT players aren't moving further forward. JR still trying to see if he can get some info over the top of this smoke. A Fate are out of there. Oh, that was close. That was very, very close. What a response too from HELLRAISERS. And you saw that little bit of utility that Kalinka used at brackets forced the rotation from Nicki out towards Library, so there was only a single defender at B. Now, a lot of the time, whether it's been Patrick or Nicki around those spools position, they've always found impact, whether it's dropping that bomb, whether it's finding a kill. Patrick found nothing. He found absolutely nothing. Yeah, the lurk from Kalinka was taken down from long, but they weren't able to find any impact on the site itself.
No impact on site, but impact to your inventory for our case partners at Hellcase. Using codes Malta-V and Malta-V15 for your free money and 15% refill bonuses. Was the 100 cases updated case battle upgrader, I should say. Dozens of giveaways per month and more with fantastic unique features. You won't get bored at Hellcase. Fate might get bored, however, of losing these CT rounds. They have really struggled in this half. Damage done to Liam. At least the native Nikki will open this one up, so maybe there might be a chance here for Fate to get one to return.
Good start coming out from the Bulgarian side. Bringing that fourth player back over to A, or at least in a rotator position from Nikki, finding the opener. HELLRAISERS, at least Flourish looked like he was lining himself up for a flashbang to try and get the Apps player out. And Brackets control coming through. Fate are very, very passive on A, not looking to try and take any contention of this map control that's already been found. A bomb to follow forward for JR. Fate, they've got a pretty good read on the situation. Haven't quite rotated another player into A, but they've got a very strong crossfire to deal with.
Smoke down. Flourish and problem. With players looking in with a smoke set and ready to try and find the entries towards the short position for one of the very few times they've gone towards the A site so far in this half. Siphoned off smoke, counter flashes coming in from the CTs, temporary blinding, but look at Problem straight up with a knife, in and out, sees the AWP in the back line, the kills coming from Problem and Kalinka simultaneously. Problem turns around towards the pit player, Nikki gets a blind shot through smoke on Kalinka, so a 2-on-2 scenario, the bomb plant is received, and Fate may be on for a retake.
Patrick, it just comes down to him. He's got to be the one to find impact. He's the one on IHP. JR can't find anything with the AWP, and now it's all down to Problem into the one-on-one, and he knows exactly where Patrick is.
3K to his name, on for the quadra if he clutches this. Had so much impact on the entries now, but the defensive comes through. Damage being done, Problem being seen. The bomb plant is open for him as well. Sees his man out in the opening with the footsteps. We're playing Ring of Roses around the broken wall. Runs out of ammo. Glocks down against Patrick. 21 versus 30 HP. And Problem still stays alive. Had every issue in that clutch scenario, but he Brazils out Fate.
Oh my goodness, Problem just has to waste as much time as possible, and he does a great job in doing so. Even if he gets taken out here, Jay, there's no time to get that defuse through. What a sick job from Problem, and that's what I'm talking about. HELLRAISERS are one of these teams where sometimes they make a play where you just go, like, what? Like, what am I looking at? They smoked off, like, the hay cart before the pit, and then Problem ran through the smoke with his teammates clearing out the site so he can get into Graveyard. And it all just comes down on the timing, that his teammates are clearing out the site, Problem's assisting from Graveyard. They leave the pit player there until they've been able to take over the site. They get well, at least try and get that bomb plant, then focus their attention to pit. They get some really nice jewels in that 2-on-2. And then Problem wins out a great clutch in the end there. 7-1. Fate certainly on the back foot of this opening map, Jay.
Not a good CT half. Not a good half by either for the CT side. Pistols in for Hans AWP, and they better hope that this sort of gets the opening frag or does some mass amount of damage here for his team. And well, last time these two teams played this map up, this was a much more similar scoreline than what Fate had when they were leading the charge against HELLRAISERS. Remember, last time they played Inferno, Fate actually took the victory. This is a very different story, a very different team, clearly. Into the A-bomb site, got one player doing damage blind against Problem. JR facing good headshot found. AWP in the back line is going to be the main contender here. Watching long, the CZ's going to see the first man. JR takes him out, looks back on. AWP of Han finds the first frag, but no more than that. Easy kills coming in for the T's to wrap around, and Patrick and Nikki are left alone.
And HELLRAISERS are such an aggressive team, even when they slow it down. And you might be thinking, like, how can that work? The fact is, when they go for these executions, Jay, they don't slow it down at all. As soon as presences are seen, as soon as there's a contact, as soon as there's a flash popped, they just rush in, and they're everywhere. They isolate so many of those one-on-one on the defenders on the site. Nikki and Patrick just have to try and hold on to these AKs, bring it into the following round. It's another round to the T side. And you've just got to think for Fate, this can't continue. This cannot continue.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I was expecting that HELLRAISERS would have a good T side. I didn't think it would be this good. I thought it was to be a CT side when things really came to fruition and where they really sort of took off, but... half gained by HELLRAISERS in such dominating fashion. We talked about this being probably the closest series, or one of the closest series that we can get so far in this group stage, but... alas, here we are with a very one-sided result, Dwayne, and I don't know what Fate can do to change it. They've thrown everything at the wall, and HELLRAISERS have just come out with sheer aggression, swinging and kicking and taking as many names as possible.
And CTs are setting themselves up for a double apartments play, getting quite aggressive with the AWP of Hunt. And just seeing if they can find an opening kill, see if they can find some early impact, because that's probably one of the things that they've been struggling with the most. Yeah, we've seen a couple of times they find opening man advantages, but holding on to it, that's where they've struggled, Jay.
AK boost up for Patrick, gets off, gets out of dodge. Him and Nikki are the two AKs for this round here for Fate. Both head out towards the B-bomb site. This boost up's coming through. They're going to leave Patrick on top of the new box area, rotate a second player in towards, I believe that's the second box is where Nikki's holding from. Utility coming in, flashes over the buildings. Lion first entry, reads his position, takes out Patrick. Nikki finds a response and doubles up. Okay, defensive holding this time for Fate. 30 seconds as well. HELLRAISERS have got to make their way into the site. Nikki waiting for an opportunity. Blocker blind sprays through the smoke. Problem means seen towards Old Grill. He gets that frag back to return. 3 on 2. Bursts up from Blocker. Does not get a frag back as the bomb crosses. I think they'll secure a bomb plant.
Jayon needs to get a move on because the CTs are coming up through Banana incredibly quickly and they're pushing through the CT smoke. What is going on here for HELLRAISERS, Jay?
Time. They realise what's going on now. Mars already got to position. Lines up those 2 frags. That was really silly from HELLRAISERS. I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking. Like, they should have just got the bomb plant. You know, 1 player cover off Coffins. Maybe fake it once. I don't know what that was about. That was just... yeah, I've got no comment to that one, I'm afraid.
Yeah, look, certainly a bit of a weird one for HELLRAISERS, looking to try and take some fights out towards CT, even with the time really low. But look, it doesn't work out for them. Fate are able to secure a second round. We, for the first time, actually see a stack coming out to B when the execution comes through. This is looking to be really quick out from brackets. We have not seen this pacing before from HELLRAISERS.
Look at problem training against Blocker, sees his man, takes that fight and wins it, but does burn through the Molotov throw. Mar gets a frag back, doubles up. Here towards Boiler, finding a 1 versus 4 now for Kalinka, alone standing, bomb picked up, got a player up in the apartments, the Incendiary is going to try and drive him away, still looks towards Pit, does not know he's there in apps, and Han lands the orb shot to secure a third for Fate. Momentum shift has really been felt as they get 3 on the CT side.
Oh my goodness, we've seen some pretty fast and aggressive plays from HELLRAISERS, but not like that. Just not checking the position of the apartments, not having a single lurk or anything. Mar does so much work. Okay, that was a little bit interesting. We saw a lot of damage done from the CT incendiaries onto the T side, and now HELLRAISERS are going to be ecoed. They really don't have a lot of money at all. They're just going to be on Glocks. I think there may be a couple of upgraded P250s, but not a lot. A Fate. It seems like they finally found a way back in, Jay.
Been a long time coming, to say the least. But how long will they carry this momentum shift? When will it shift against them? When will HELLRAISERS take a confident rifle round and decimate Fate and what they have here? The economy's still looking a bit shaky for the CT camp, so if they're able to get damage done with these pistols, all the better here. Problem moves up, takes that fight, wins out against Patrick. Mar lines up 3 frags, can't quite get the quadra. Flowich is low, probably susceptible to trade. Mark can find himself 2 more good picks here. He's got Han with the AWP to support it. 4th frag, not quite the ace. It doesn't matter though. 3 alive for the CT side. And the life comes in from HELLRAISERS.
A decent round from the T side, getting a couple of kills. I see a great transfer there from Mar, trying to line them all up. Getting away with 4 kills in the end. A 4th on the board though for Fate. It's all about the rounds and it's all about the comeback. You've just got to think for HELLRAISERS, maybe just trying to slow it down a little bit, Jay. You know, we've seen these last couple of rounds been some quick aggression. And maybe an opportunity for them to start to slow it down a little bit, try and catch Fate off guard in terms of the pacing. Fast but out of control coming out, and now they'll know that Lime's here. He smoked off the molly.
Patrick gets that kill in the end, smoke back towards the archway entrance. Molotov against him should force him off position, but that's fine. He's done all he needs to. Got to kill. Keeps up control. Flashbang will get him back towards passive positions as well. So Fate playing this one to a T. Now it's out towards the A-side defenders. So 3 here. 1 boost up the blocker, trying to look for problem above the smoke. Does he see him? He does not. JR, we're going to hear that scope in. When will he take that fight? How much will he get out of it? Incendiary Scepter smokes are about to start clearing away. They fall out position though. Smart from Fate. Can keep all their players in check. 4 players stack over towards the A-site as well. Time is of the essence here for the HELLRAISERS hit.
Oh, Mar's going to try and work around the edge of this smoke, but so is Problem. But Mar wins out the fight, gets that 5-on-3, tries to fall back, but JR finding the response. And really, HELLRAISERS need to get a bit of a move onto this A-bomb site. Otherwise, all the rotations are going to come through. There's already 3 players on the side. They've got Patrick that's seen absolutely nothing towards Banana, but HELLRAISERS are backing off. This is going to be a B play.
Rotate towards Banana. Patrick immediately executes the AWP. Could have wrapped around from Speedway here for the HELLRAISERS camp. I'm surprised no one thought about that. Had long control under their grasp, but now looking to the B-site play. Smoke down, flashes over, players moving in. Patrick with the M4C. Kalinka and Flaric there combining with the AK spray will take the nade kill. 3-on-2 situation. Kalinka is so low, susceptible to a wallbang body shot, and he almost took it there from the AWP. Held close against Nicky, needs his headshot in, faces too far forward and loses his life. Flaric, 1-on-3 scenario for him. Backed up towards the coffins, taking some shots towards his position. AK face in, headshot not gained. He does catch that man in the end. Look for Nicky next, but Nicky wins out his 2K and wins out the round for Fate.
Oh, much better from Fate. That's a really strong round there, and it all just comes off the back of Patrick doing a really great job getting the info that they're heading over to B. He gets a kill, ends up getting 2 in the round, tries to fall back for as long as possible, and allow the rotations to come in from the A-bomb site players. But you're certainly right. They didn't have complete long control, so they could have been a player in Arch or Library, but the fact that they just all back off and don't use the map advantage that they had already to try and split into B is a bit of a surprise. It seems like for HELLRAISERS, they've hit a bit of a brick wall, Jay. They were up 8-1. We're now seeing 4 rounds in a row from Fate, and starting to really build this comeback through.
Long last as well, by the way. It took them a very long time. Now running quite far with this one. Incendiary is out, smokes up, blocker taking down into problem. Matt 10 comes up with that immediate frag. AWP upon trying to trade it back, almost lined up 2. Takes out 1 as Mar finished off the job against Lion. Doubling up here, making it a triple kill, making it a quadra from Pit, ruins them all. And ruins the lead for HELLRAISERS, 8-6 approaching round 15.
Okay, this is just all spiraled out of control, and Fate could just say, right, all we need to do, play passive in the sites and just establish crossfires. We saw just, again, mass aggression, hyper-aggression out from HELLRAISERS, just spamming with those MAC-10s through the deagle smoke, through the long smoke. And then from there, Mar just plays an off-angle out from Pit and just lines him up, consistently finding kills. 4 in the round for him. HELLRAISERS, okay. I thought that they would go back to a little bit more of a slower pace, but it looks like aggression's going to continue out at least towards gaining this banana control.
Face in, JR and Problem do find the opening 2 kills. Okay, much better for HELLRAISERS in this round compared to the previous few, but Patrick will trade back and hold a 2-for-1. That's out from blocker, blind. Patrick has a second kill, overwhelmed with the 2 players facing in, Lime in particular. Getting the pick back, M4 close, takes down the bomb planter through the coffins, lining up perfectly against his head, but Flaric does find the trade. Now Mar moves in and Flaric is isolated. Kalinka is still rotating back from Banana. AK set to the edge of the smoke. Who's going to see who first? Re-smoke down. Flaric seen, gets that frag, gets 2 kills, and gets the night to the board of HELLRAISERS.
Wow, that was really chaotic from that T side of HELLRAISERS, and it was exciting. You know, it was certainly a very unique style of play. It wasn't slow and methodical like we see most of the Tier 2 teams playing. You know, you look at your alternate attacks and your Gambit Youngsters, for example, their T sides of Inferno could be really slow. For HELLRAISERS, they didn't really draw many fakes. It was like, right, we get a kill, we just rush. And that's pretty much what the majority of these rounds were. It was very successful towards the start. They had the 8-1 lead. It seemed like Fate had got a really strong chokehold on the situation by just putting down anti-rush nades and doing a massive amount of damage in terms of utility. But a 9-6 half, you've got to think for HELLRAISERS that maybe, like, they're happy with it. They probably thought we could get to, like, 10 or 11 rounds or even push it further forward. I'm still surprised. Even with a 9-6 half, it seems like Fate are even more favorites than what they were before, Jay. What's going on here?
Trying to think about how you'd weigh that up. I mean, maybe it's the momentum. You know, maybe it is all the fact that Fate brought us back from the brink in the first half. Going into the second, though, this team's had a bone to pick with HELLRAISERS. Let them get quite far on this one now towards their CT half. HR taking fights in the apartment, seeing two. I don't know if they saw that bomb, but either way, they're going to hear all these footsteps. Quick rush coming through with the Fate side. Lime gets that one frag. JR's at a toll trades, but JR still holding position here in towards the mid position because it allowed the short control from Fate to come through. Bomb plant towards the shutters. 3v3 retake up for HELLRAISERS.
No utility, though, on the post plants come out from the T's, whereas for HELLRAISERS, they've got a smoke and a flashbang for them to work with. Flash coming out, Mar completely blind on towards the site. Mar and Nikki get a couple of kills together, and that's all down to Kalinka to try and bring this back. 1-on-3 from him, and surely he's going to be seen. Now it is. They can just not peek and just make sure as soon as he's out in the open, they can all swing together and take Kalinka down. This should be a 7th round on the board for the Fate side. Kalinka still trying to get these bullets through, and he's running out of headshots, but he does get a good shot onto Mar. This is now certainly doable for Kalinka, especially the fact he's not getting traded. He's running out of time, Jay, but now it's a 1-on-1, and he needs to deal with a pit player of Nikki, wasting so much time in this post plant. Kalinka not going to be able to win out the round, not find that last kill. Okay, he actually did a lot better than I thought he would do.
Well, credit where it's due, because, I mean, if he acted a bit quicker and got those kills inappropriate, then yeah, maybe that would have been the way in, but headshots are plenty and accurate as anything for the CT lone stander. 7 to the board of Fate, though. They've got a crucial pistol on their board, one that will try and build back an advantage above the HELLRAISERS side. They have struggled on their CT side, now back up on T to try and kick things into first gear. The scouts out from both sides. Double scout in for JR and Problem, but Kalinka takes that damage very early on here and towards the banana face. He did have Problem facing up initially aggressive, but he gets out of dodge and evades all the damage.
Good early damage being done. Fate. Look at the difference in terms of the style. How much more slower they're taking this map control. A top banana found. But bringing that bomb up through mid. A triple stack here towards the B bomb site from HELLRAISERS with the double scouts. JR. And Problem with the 2. And you've just got to think it really comes down to the 2 defenders here of Lime and Flourish to be able to hold for as long as possible. Now, Flourish does have 1 smoke. That's going to buy him a little bit of time, but now he's been seen, and now that's Lime. Now the bomb site's pretty much opened up. There's only 1 more player.
Flourish will do his best with the deagle. Gets that 1 kill in. The AK back at the apartment, Stone Mar will deal with him, so... Plant can be secured. I don't know where that tag came in from the bomb site. It might have been a Mat 10 accidentally hitting the likes of Nikki. But either way, this is a 4-on-3 scenario. This is Fate securing the site. HELLRAISERS do not even want to bother with this retake. They are backed up towards the B site, saving their scouts and SMG. This is a force buy round, and they're going to get forced to save.
Hold on to the weapons over at B. They realize the fact, okay, let's just try and go for a bit of a gamble stack in the force buy. If they go A and we lose out, then we'll just save at B, and that's exactly what happens. With Fate, though, you know what, Jay? I'm actually very surprised that they've brought this comeback as far as they have. Looking at a point now where we could really see them tie up the scoreline at 9-9. The fact that HELLRAISERS probably won't invest too much more going into this following round with the 3 weapons saved in. Maybe a deagle or 2, but that's pretty much it. And to think HELLRAISERS were up 8-1. They have really bottled this to make the scoreline so close.
Good shot from Hahn to open things up with his scout play. Does take some damage back, but is still fighting towards the mid control. Look at the amount of damage he's done alone. 2 players lower than 20 points of health with a kill on Flaric. Fate bringing back the issue. If they can just take all these rifles out of their hands without taking any damage, they can build their own economy, start to force HELLRAISERS to a basic eco. Of course, the buy-up was going to come through from the next round regardless, so... Out and about, Mac-10's in, burst through. Can't take out Lime just yet. They're siphon off the bomb site though, they can get a plant in.
We see the jumping Mac-10 of Mar, not spotting anything out. Nicky's going to hear the footsteps of Kalinka. Should be an easy duel with the Mac-10. Damage being farmed up. Fate locking things down at this A bomb site. Problem and JR looking for a couple of exit kills. They haven't even really done any damage. Only Hahn is the one that's taken the most. What is that, Jay? Like, what is Mara even thinking there? He's just jumping. He's hit spacebar and he's hit mouse 1.
Either that or he's used scroll wheel and mouse 1, depending on his actual setup. But
yeah. Or
semantics.
Yeah.
Semantics.
Are you a scroll wheel up or scroll wheel down kind of person?
I'm a spacebar.
You're a spacebar.
Kind of person.
Oh my goodness.
Oh
my goodness. We've got a hater here. We've got a hater.
9-all to the board, Fate. Even up against HELLRAISERS for the first time since we were 0-0. The AK's in, the AWP out. The 2 Mac-10 still in play for Fate. I mean, they've invested quite a bit into one individual on this T-side camp, so they have to kind of keep him alive. And this setup is not conducive to getting a confident round out here for the T's.
No. We see the nades coming up for Kalinka, both the smoke and the molly towards the top of Banana to push back the Fate side. Still 2 Mac-10s in the playing field, though, for the Bulgarians. No one just on body Kevlar, though, Jay. Everyone's got head Kevlar on the HELLRAISERS side. Fate. Still not really sure where they want to go here. Still spreading out their default, using a little bit of utility out towards B. And again, HELLRAISERS have gone for this triple B setup a few times now in this second half. And for Fate, they're leaning in towards A, and they're looking to try and at least hit the bomb site that's got the less players, but not without that AWP.
Shot refacing back, unable to get the kill on the next man, though. Damaged up to 27 points of health, looking on towards the long control. Seeing the next player a blocker, tagged up to 1 point of health, but still fragging. Gets his triple in against the AWP of the T's, though. Khan will finally get his trade back. Nicky on 12 points of health, nades up against him to take it down. He drops out, problems the man to get the kill with the M4. Hahn, last man standing, finds that first. But no more than that from Graveyard. HELLRAISERS have overwhelmed. They've secured 10 on CT side.
And that's what we want to see from JR. That's more like it. Takes that opening duel from the apartments, looks for a second one, doesn't win it out, but falls down into the mini-pip scenario and just hopes that his teammate is trying to defend his position, establish a crossfire so he can focus his attention up towards Moto and Long. And comes away with 3 kills in the round. Does a really great job. And we didn't see the double orbs coming out from Fate at all in their opening best of 1 or that first half of Inferno. And now Kalinka, he's got it straight away as soon as they've got money.
Large with the M4, scoped down in towards the, well, not scoped, but, you know, looking down into the Brackus position. Waiting for mid-presence of the Fate side. HELLRAISERS got a decent setup here towards the A site play, but nothing towards Banana. It's passive on B. Smokes down, flashes over. Mountain Man Chaos here. Nicky makes his way up. No smoke towards Cross, and Problem and JR can get a 2-for-1. Drop that bomb and everything. 4 versus 3, and Fate have got to fight to regain control. Yes, they will put a smoke down, which does find enough cover to get that bomb and get it back out of dodge. But still, JR is fighting, and the rest of HELLRAISERS have rotated the position.
Now, they can get the bomb plan in now, especially with the smokes down, but it is a man advantage coming out from HELLRAISERS. Look at this one boost coming out from Lime! Oh, he even finds a kill with it! That was absolutely unbelievable! And now it's all down to Mar and Hahn to hold off in the post plant. 3 on 2, the trades are still coming in for the Fate side, not allowing that 2K to come through from Lime. JL's also extremely low, the Incendiary to the back lines here towards Dark. Hahn still holding out, covered enough to face away from the Coffin's entrance. Kalinka with the AWP face up. Can't get the taps through. Mar left alone. Bomb plant on Coffins has got to get Kalinka first sprays through. No, the AWP lands the kill, and HELLRAISERS have 11. What was that run boost? I've never seen that before. And it's probably an element in the game that teams don't utilize enough. You see a run boost maybe if they want to try and bait out an AWP shot, or sometimes if you've dropped the bomb on Dust 2 at the A-bomb site and you want to try and get the bomb across, you might run boost a player, things like that. But yeah, look, we really don't see it often, especially in a retake scenario. Wow, I don't know what I was watching there. That was unbelievable. I've never seen that before.
Conceptually, it's not too dissimilar to the other run boosts we're seeing around corners. As the run boost we're seeing getting more and more popular towards short area of overpass. I don't know if you remember that one.
Yes, I do remember that one.
Hold that thought, because Naystacks are coming in from this eco of the Fade side. They've taken out the first player, a problem. Kalinka falls back to the back lines. He will put a Molotov down, take out Han. Burn blocker as well. Use up the AWP in the back line, 3-on-3. They can secure a bomb plant from here. For Fate with a lack of investment, this could actually be a pretty decent round.
Yeah, they've got a couple of HEs, though, on that retake from HELLRAISERS. Now, if they're timed perfectly and at least positioned perfectly, that's where the damage can be done. We see Nikki going down, Mars incredibly low. He's been able to pick up an AWP, so they can be happy with the damage they've done so far. I'm not sure if Patrick would have been seen there, but even more damage is now done onto Mar, and it's all down to Patrick. 1-on-3 with that P250. And I tell you what, with a lack of investment, Fake could be really happy. A couple of kills and a bomb plant, don't mind that.
Couple of decent frags in as well. Trying to limit the economy state of the CT camp. It might put HELLRAISERS on a bit of a reset possibility here in the next round. Ops, AK, M4s across the HELLRAISERS board. Reinvestment for the players that went down. Han's going to find the first casualty, though, down towards the mid-control. Dealing with JR. The AWP dropping, and a big frag is found again.
Yeah, that's a big jewel to win out, getting that AWP of JR out of the equation. Fate looking for a response back in, and for HELLRAISERS, are they just going to gamble stack this A bomb site? What is going on here? Okay, they are putting all their eggs in one basket, Jay.
That might come out against them here. Fate have an easy line into the B bomb site, and they're pretty passive here. They could consider the rotations. If they face no resistance, then surely they'll just run straight up towards banana control.
Oh,
the flash in, the timing from Lion. He is going to see them making their way out, as you mentioned, but they can't do much about it. They could catch the player in the backlands. The AWP of Han, though, lands his shot, 5-on-3, turns around to make it 2. 3 kills all in all for the man, and the last 2 players are saving.
Oh, that timing was awkward. That if they would have peeked like a few seconds earlier, then especially with a flashbang, they would have got so much info and potentially got a couple of kills for it. But as soon as Lion peeks, they're already on their way to banana. And then Han just comes up absolutely huge, cutting off the rotations, getting 3 kills. And Fate, okay, getting to double digits. Really holding on a bit more of a contention than what I thought they would do in this map-up. HELLRAISERS trying to hold on to these couple of weapons from Flourish and Kalinka. JR can buy himself. Lime and Problem probably get a weapon over from Flourish and Kalinka. Or at least drop that AWP to JR, and then JR could drop an M4 over to a teammate. A good response in from Fate, and it just came off the back of a single individual.
Now within 2. Lead being pressured again by the HELLRAISERS side.
Nade stack.
Here it comes out, nades on, no damage done. The SMG still peeks forward. Kalinka and Lion, first casualties. Problems dropped in towards Mexico, though. I don't think Mars realizing of this. I don't think they heard the footsteps, actually. He'll look towards second mid and realize that actually they've all gone towards banana, so he'll try and counter backstab. And they might not be ready for this. I mean, Mar is watching the apartments. Maybe they might have their heads on a swivel, but with the fact that they've got this map control indicates that they will be completely unaware of the backstab coming in. And this could be pretty big for Problem if he holds trigger discipline and the AWP doesn't check it. Han is watching, though, so they've got all their bases covered here.
Look, really awkward for the HELLRAISERS camp. They've got the info, it's B, but what can you really do with it? And Flourish has certainly heard the ball crossing out to the site. Mar does get taken down, and Flourish has seen that bomb going off across. But you've got to think, pull in the tower, go for the save. There's not really much they can do here.
Got to back up. Flourish taking damage. Forced away with the AK in his hands. The AWP JR. Set and ready to try and take some exit frags. But other than that, there's basically going to be an 11th for Fate. And again, a big one to win at that. The money is starting to wear away from the CT camp. So Fate can once again be in this position where they could equalize. Go real close to the line here.
A close first map of the series. That's what we want to see, Jay. You know, there's nothing worse than a one-sided affair. We like to see it go the 3 maps. We like to see it go the distance. And we like to see the individual maps being close. 11-12, a 1-round deficit coming out from Fate. And at least mentally, I'm really proud of the Fate guys that they're able to, you know, come back from a 1-8 deficit on your opponent's map pick. It's often really tough to allow a comeback to come through because, you know, some players can say, yeah, you know, we're done at this point, like it's over. But they've certainly made the case that it's not over, and they've still got more room to fight. HELLRAISERS buying into round 24 with an MP9 on the back of Kalinka. This is very aggressive out from the T side. The rush into the A-bomb side.
Nicky gets 2 kills. Look at the damage done to the T-side players that made their way out of this position. Flourish will drop 1 as a result, but Nicky quickly trades it, grabs that bomb, looks back towards the back corner. Finds support from his teammates, waiting for the smoke to come through, so he's covered off on that long position. They've cleared out sight, but it doesn't matter. HELLRAISERS are backed up towards the B site. Problem and Kalinka, they're not going to move from here. They've got to save their weapons because they have just been shut out of this round.
That's a HELLRAISERS strat. Fate just run into that A-bomb site. They do so much damage. Yeah, the incendiaries do a lot onto Nicky and Blocker. But my goodness, the in-game leader of the Fate side being able to find 3 kills. Just some fantastic entries to come out from Nicky. Wow. Okay, that was really a sort of an eye-popper round right there. And that probably changes the complexion a lot in this first map, Jay. We're now looking at a 12-12 scoreline. The economy is looking really rough for HELLRAISERS. They'll probably have to eco off the back of these 2 saved-in weapons. Fate, they could honestly be up for a lead, Jay. Oh, even with Problem going down, that makes it even better now.
The SMG, the only thing to stay in. Tactical pause called by the HELLRAISERS here. Again, equalized by Fate. And a much better chance to lose their control as a result of it here. I mean, the buy's not going to look amazing if they full-blown force it. They eco it, though. Yeah, half buy coming in from HELLRAISERS. This makes the most amount of sense. Fate will gain the lead temporarily, but if they can get the rifles together, that's where things can change up for HR.
I certainly struggled over on this city side, only being able to find 3 rounds so far for the CIS camp. Ooh, round reset, I would say. Yep. Hearing ticks, no one's moving.
Yeah, someone's made a stop call.
It's all right.
This looks like a Fate stop call as well, based on the positioning of these players. I'm not sure what the issue is specifically. Although, based on the fact there's only 1 player moving, then this could be a mass disconnection problem here for the T side.
Ooh, it could be. I wonder, I actually don't know, but I wonder how many of the teams in Europe around sort of like this tier 2 level are actually boot camping at the moment. I haven't really seen too much on terms of like social media of like pictures and videos. I know North are obviously boot camping together. We saw the MIBR guys camping or boot camping in Europe. I mean, obviously they're a tier 1 team, but I suppose North is as well. But yeah, no, I wonder like how many teams in the current state are boot camping. Obviously, Malta Vibes gives you a boot camp for the winner, of course.
Wouldn't that be amazing though? Boot camp for a tournament that gives you a boot camp anyway. Like that is the ultimate meta game right there from whoever decides to do that.
So it's basically just a LAN tournament to win a boot camp. But the LAN is a boot camp.
Apparently, Forza, who are playing in Group C, and Espada, who have played in several of the Malta Lives tournaments so far, they have been boot camping. So there you go. Like that's the ultimate, the ultimate methodology of Counter-Strike. Just boot camp for boot camps. So,
I think Skade are boot camping too. Actually, the other Bulgarian team, I believe they're boot camping.
Yeah, but they're not good enough to play at this level. So
ripping in. Absolutely destroyed. Wow, you're gonna be hearing about that, mate.
I don't think it'll be as bad as other teams I've ribbed into previously. So let's just move on because round 25 is ready to get started here. Fates have the full rifles. HELLRAISERS still having the half buy. Have a chance to change their minds. They're not going to go ahead and do so. Matt 10 in for Nicky. Could actually come up with a good couple of frags here. I mean, there's 4 players without head Kevlar, 2 without any Kevlar. And nades up a standard. Damage done to Mar and Patrick and Blocker. PGFT, your problem is close. Does not get ready. Kling is going to be allowed to kill. Problem doubles up here. Harm with the AWP pick. PGFT forced to reload. Going to re-smoke down, buy some cover. Facing against Mar, do some damage. Doesn't get the frags for it. And as Lime falls, it's all going to be left to JR in the back lines. Farage coming in from mid position. And Fate have met quite the resistance here. I don't think they were expecting to get shut down so efficiently.
I don't think they were at all. And for Flarich, he really wants to aggress, but at the same time, they've realized time and time again, they've just left Han to watch this backstab angle. So he knows that if he starts to over-aggress, they will probably get punished for it. Mr. Nubox Molly to come out for the tease doesn't make the biggest of differences in the world because JR's dealt with, and now Flarich starts to get a bit of a move on. So a decent amount of damage, probably could have been a little bit more, considering how low that Patrick and Mar is. And Flarich is with his knife out, Jay. I don't like this. I like the deagle out.
I think he's hoping that someone goes right past him into the wood stack and he gets a knife in for a kill. Because considering how low Patrick and Mar are, that wouldn't even be out the realm possibility, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it would be very easy for the knife to get a kill, even like a left swing. Left click swing. But he does get the deagle out in the end and thinks better of it. Don't know if they've got any info on where this player is. I mean, I know that Mar is currently waiting back behind Stack. He's going to have to make his way out of the banana position in a moment here because the bomb's about to go up and he will get caught in the bomb blast.
Might get a chance
Patrick here. Yeah, flashes in. Oh, only 1 kill. Close to the second, but not to be. 2 alive. And while I would say good damage for the most part here for HELLRAISERS, every player on Fate had 10k pre-buy, so there's not going to mean much here. 13-12, the reinvestment can come through. I think Fate will be good to buy for at least a couple more good rounds here. Not quite to the end of the half. If they win the next few rounds, then yeah, right to the end of the matchup. But double ops coming in from HELLRAISERS for the first time in this series. Let's see whether they can make it happen and whether they can finally return to the Fate side and get us back to evens very quickly.
JR looks like he wants to get very aggressive. Not going to be able to find the opener. Does fall back, doesn't get punished for that over-aggression. And Kalinka bringing his off over to the B bomb site. Fate, though, you've got to think that even when they start losing rounds, Jay, that loss bonus is going to start to build up, especially if they can help themselves up with the bomb plants. JR peeking into the apartments. That should have been a trade from Blocker, but he doesn't connect onto the kill.
Yeah, 34 points of health. JR gets away alive. Falls back to the site as well. Might even control the long position. He puts straight for that smoke and tries to check angle. I think they'll realise that no one made their way in from Speedway, so there's no wraparound backstab coming into the B site. It's just down to Problem and Kalinka here for the contact crossfire. AWP ready to receive. The first takes out Han, the AWP. Refaces back in for more. Flashbang catches both players blind. And the Incendiary can come through from his backup. Kalinka can rotate to back positions and Fate are stopped from executing.
Kalinka starts to reposition way more passive back into the site now towards Dark. No one's really in a rotator position. JL's going to be the quickest one over to B from Library, and Fate just going to set themselves up for a simple B exie.
Here they come. Kalinka with that good shot on Blocker. Takes him down. 2 standing left for Fate. Problem looking for his piece of the pie. Nicky facing. They line up for the M4, and he takes them both down. Bob Carter and backup falling.
Oh,
and that is 13 all. The triple orbs stay in play for the CT camp.
Because you saw the Problem was shooting that over to Lime rather than picking it up himself because he had the AK. Wow, I did not think they were going to pick that third one up. Jay, this could be a big risk, big reward situation. I don't know if I like the triple orbs, but I'm keen to see what they can perform with it.
Not on a map like this, I don't like it. If it was Dust 2 or Mirage or Train,
Yeah, I see
fair
it.
play. Not on Inferno, though. Double orbs are rare on Inferno, so even triple orbs come out. It's just like a unicorn, essentially. What do you expect? They're extremely rare, so...
They don't even exist? What do you mean they're rare?
Exactly my point. 13 all.
A four-leaf clover's rare.
Patrick and Nikki tagged up initially by utility in towards this banana control. Fate definitely have their heart set towards the B site.
And they're even rotating a third player over on this CT side. Fate, it's a bit of a double pump setup. They're trying to see if they can maybe fake out some rotations, using a little bit of utility over to B, waiting their ground, maybe waiting for an overextension. That's why they've got Nikki boosted up towards Broken Wall. Now from here, he can start to molly off the dark position. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a molly, but his teammates do. And JR, you've got to think with the AWP over at the A bomb site, if he starts to aggress, he's going to get a lot of information. But even with that, they're still set up with 3 players at B. They're set up perfectly for this.
And Kalinka's AWP is taking first contact. As soon as he gets that first shot, his 2 teammates can turn around and try and just spray through, bottleneck them, suppress them coming out of Banana. Smoke down towards Coffins. Cross comes in as well. AWP finds that first. Falls back, trying to reface in. They're getting dangerously close. Smoke body blocks. He's still killing. He gets a secondary kill alongside Flourich's then getting Nikki to a 5-on-2 scenario. Hellraisers do lose 1, but that is 1 for free. Bomb dropped in the open. And Mars got no way back in. 5 seconds, this round is over. They've got to save. Hellraisers will claim 14 to the CT board.
And this is now 2 rounds in a row that have looked very, very dominant. What is even the peak out there from Mar? I mean, he's not going to lose a lot in terms of the money, but just a waste, an absolute waste there. It doesn't get anything, loses an AK for it. And they're still keeping the triple orbs in, Jay. Keep it out probably until... well, they win the game or they get to round 30. Just keep him.
I mean, it worked, so why change it?
Yeah, why not?
I mean, fundamentally, it makes no sense, but the fact that they're going for this... Here's the thing, right? If it makes no sense, but it still works, then it works, okay? Like, you know, it doesn't matter if it makes no sense or not. If you rush into a bomb site with only a P250 and a Dream and you manage to win a 1v5, then fair play. You know, like, it doesn't matter what makes sense or not if you can just get the rounds on the board. Hellraisers are getting rounds on the board. They are within 2 of the win here on their map pick. Fate are calling in tactical pauses, trying to figure out where they go from here, how they stop making these mistakes, and how they break this back here, because Hellraisers don't have a lot of money at the moment. 3 orbs have come in. They're still able to afford that much, but you can see the money line, $4,400 at best for Liam. Not a lot of loss bonus either, so this should probably end up being a reset round if Fate can get it.
It's going to look awkward for sure. And that's why Fate have realized the importance, the sort of how to get back into control. You know, there's been a couple of rounds now that Hellraisers have won where they've just looked very, very strong. And it's off the back of all these orbs that are out on the city side. But for Fate, they need an answer back in. And you've got to think with these orbs, maybe trying to go for something really quick, like going in for like a quick brackets take, trying to see if you can utilize those flashbangs and just try and get some very fast map control. Out towards mid, Patrick, looking to see if he can find anything from Mexico. Utility out towards Banana, but the CTs don't look like they want to completely take control, but the damage, that's the big element there.
And again, Hellraisers are putting utility to get the early starts in on these rounds, not even taking contact in face. AWP Kalinka will get boosted up to try and hold some sort of contact position. They can rotate that 4th man back out towards the A bomb site if they wish to. AWP shoulder baiting, jump facing. Flashes continue, and Kalinka lands a beautiful flick on Nikki. Gonna have second servings as Patrick and Blocker look to make their way around. AWP gonna get dealt with by the nade stacks here. 4-on-4 situation. Fate now need to act off this, but as JR swings in, another AWP presents itself to deal with.
And they've got to commit. They've dropped that bomb. Patrick's been able to pick it up, but more players have fell down to these AWPs. The orbs, every single one of them that has found a kill. Kalinka, JR, and Lime, all with their individual orbs, have found one each. And now Patrick and Hahn have just got to make a play. A run boost through the smoke, maybe.
Oh, they made noise.
Oh.
Oh, it's falling apart for Fate. One left standing in Hahn. Bomb dropped in the open. And they look so miscoordinated here in these last few rounds. HELLRAISERS looking for a map point, and in 25 seconds or a kill, they will be able to get it. 4-man crossfire lock. They can drop that M4, pick up the third AWP again, because why not at this stage?
And, you know, it's really giving me a flashback. I don't remember if it was this year or last year, but we saw a match between Havu and Simon where I think Havu were like down like 4 to like 10 or like 4 to 13, whatever it was a terrible scoreline for them, and they just started running 5 AWPs on CT side of Mirage, or I think it was Mirage, and they just kept running like all of these AWPs and finding impact to bring a comeback through, and that's kind of what we're seeing. That
was during, wasn't it Loot Bet?
It was a while ago. I don't know what it was, but
so I think I remember this match actually. Like I specifically actually remember the 5 AWP.
Oh, we didn't do it. We didn't do it. Definitely.
Oh, did we not do it?
No, it was something else. Because I remember the players, I'm sure it was against like Simon, and the players on Twitter after were like so angry. They were like, I can't believe they're running 5 AWPs all the time. But yeah, no, it's reminding me of that. The fact that we're seeing HELLRAISERS run double AWPs or even finding triple AWP setups. It looks like going into round 29, they're not quite going to be running that third AWP onto Lime. I mean, it makes sense, the fact that he's got an M4, but it looks like they're quite happy with just the double.
Well, map point for HELLRAISERS on their map pick in what has been a surprisingly, close fashion. We thought HELLRAISERS were going to dominate with their 8-1 scoreline. It felt like eons ago when that situation was coming in. Incendiary set up, looking around this corner. Blocker, the MAC-10 alongside the Galil of Mart, moving in to the apartments. Fate with a broken force back. Need to win this round. M4 pops up, Lion gets Mart down, dropping a 35 points of health. Oh, he eventually falls the blocker. The MAC-10 blind spraying through now. 4-on-4. AWP JR is still alive and kicking and finds his man for a man advantage. Regained by the HELLRAISERS side. Fate still working into the site, though. They smoke off the cross towards long and lean in towards the B execute.
And they needed to deal with 2 AWPs out towards long. Both Kalinka and JR are establishing a crossfire between them. It's going to be very difficult for Fate to be able to deal with this position. Nicky trying to work on the edge of this smoke, picked up an M4. JR's going to get mollied, and now he needs to try and make a play.
Nicky takes him down 3-on-3. MAC-10 looking to exit out the apartments, but the AK held back towards the back lines. Kalinka swings in, gets Nicky down. Hahn trades it, expects him to be close towards the back line. The AK headshot seen. Patrick left the line spray through, just about finds the frag and grabs the AK for a bomb plant. 1-on-1. Knows where problem's coming from here. Flashes over, AK needs a headshot, sees his man. Spray goes awkwardly. Neither player can examine the problem. Gets baited in. And Patrick finds the 2K, finds the 14th for Fate. Just staying alive.
Oh, that's a big round. That's a massive clutch coming out there from Patrick. And problem, he looked like he wanted to try and take the fight as soon as possible, making so much noise coming out from Library. Ooh, okay. Oh, we're into round 30. Fate. Oh, they're by, though, because only one player stayed alive. If they had 2 or 3 players staying alive, Jay, they'd be able to, first of all, pick up one of the AWPs that were on the ground. They would have been able to get all the AKs and what have you. And now we've got 2 MAC-10s, a Galil to back up the AK and the AWP. Fate do not have the best of buyers in the world. And HELLRAISERS will realize the fact that it came down into a 1-on-1. Yeah, they got a bomb plant, they won the round, but there's going to be like hardly any money for Fate.
Tactical coming in for that T side appropriately enough. MAC-10 on Nicky and Blocker. As you mentioned, the main highlight issues with the buy-up. Double up setup of HELLRAISERS still working in with the big green guns that have worked wonders for them so far. Out towards second mid for the contact. Utility is standard towards the banana position. It's Hahn to open up the frag counts though. Down towards his mid position. JR takes his face and loses his life. That's a start of a fate that they wanted.
And Lime's been able to recover that AWP at least, so they still keep the 2 AWPs in play. But that's a big fight to win for the Fate side. The AWP of Lime's going to get baited out and gets taken down. Now it's all down to Flourish on the A-bomb side.
Four still sat here, sees Blocker, can't take it down. Molotov coming in, finds 1 and 2. Burns to Patrick's Molly to a 3-on-2 favour to Fate. And Kalinka makes his way in with the AWP M4 right behind him. Incendiary coming up towards the backline, should force Nikki off angle. Boost up for the AWP. Will Kalinka see anything? Scope in. Saw Nikki and caught him in the head. Through the pillar, wallbang shot, 2-on-2. HELLRAISERS still in this round, not quite losing control against Fate just yet. Here they come, flashes over, Blockers blind as a bat, problems on site, spray through, and still Hahn and Blocker get the frags, get the round. We go to overtime.
And you know that like GTA meme where they say like, oh, here we go again? Like that's exactly what's going on, Jay. We always get to overtime in the Malta vibes. It happens every single week. And we're here in the elimination game, 15-15. Wow. Now what I'm wondering is HELLRAISERS going to continue to run the double AWPs or even triple AWPs now going into OTJ? Because it's MR3 16K. They've got all the money they want.
Oh boy. Man.
Oh, that shot.
Man.
Fortunately,
oh man,
didn't win them the round.
I feel like with a shot like that, you would have hoped the momentum would swing back and HELLRAISERS would be able to get onto the site.
Yeah.
The fact that Fate are going this far and potentially gaining an overtime above HELLRAISERS, I mean, they've got so far as to go to overtime. In contrary that to Gambit Youngsters versus Apex going on in the mainstream, which had just ended on map 1 16-14.
Oh, wow, that was close.
Yeah, Gambit Youngsters just barely snuck it away from Apex. But no team's going to sneak it away from the other right here. They've got quite the fight ahead of us, apparently. 15 all for OT, and in the many OTs we've had so far in this tournament, and the many OTs that we personally have casted, Thwag, I don't even know what to make of it anymore.
Yeah. Every time I think about whether it's like an OT or like a force buy victory, I think, man, if I really made a tally, like in Malta vibes, we would just have so many numbers. Like, it would be just ridiculous how many times I would say at least once or twice, maybe every single group in Malta vibes we get an OT. I would say at least once. At least one would make sense.
MR3 16K. And the odds even out as you would expect here in overtime. AWP and AK is set with the AWP and M4s. No double AWPs this time for HELLRAISERS. They've committed quite a lot to that in the last half and still somehow managed to come out short with it. Smokes on, AWPs up, nades coming in or getting ready to be set up to go in for Kalinka and Co. Evading Hahn and the major damage numbers, just minimal done towards him and his teammates.
Only running these single AWP, but the banana control being taken for the Fate side, and for HELLRAISERS, they just AWP straight out of there. Do not want to contest that whatsoever. And have a look at the amount of incendiaries the cities have. They've only got 2 left on their city side. JR and Lime. I'm going to bring JR with that AWP over to the B bomb site. This is a smart read from JR, bringing a 3rd player over to B.
Upset, looking up for Blocker. Lands the leg shot, not quite the kill. First casualty of overtime sustained by HELLRAISERS. Fate Take that AWP out of action. Going to force the M4 to push forward, actually. Would have thought Kalinka would have gone back more passive. He's grabbed that AWP and rotated to a passive angle and towards the cross position. 40 seconds, and he backs up even further to rotate towards A. For some reason, they think this might end up being an A player. They're going to gamble stack it.
Goodness.
And they're going to walk right into the trap, Fate.
I just can't believe that they're starting to rotate this low on the time. They have no player outside of Mar into this A bomb site in the apartments, and there's going to be 3 players here on the CT side.
Flowers is so ready for this. 15 seconds. Bomb's going to make its way right up. AWP shot connects. There's another good tag on towards Nikki. Next 17 HP. Blocker on 10. 10 seconds left. And Han shoulder baits out. The AWP kill. Flowers goes down. It's 4. Flime lines up 3 and wins it for HELLRAISERS. 1 second is the difference to open up overtime.
What a play. What an absolute play at that A bomb site. And for Fate, that's just overthinking things. Trying to bait out the rotations to B. No one rotates out. And look how low the time is, Jay. They need to get that bomb plan through. And Lime just lines them up. I tell you what, I don't even think they would have been able to get that bomb down in time, even if he didn't find those kills. But finding the impact, keeping his team alive. Wow. Fate. They put everything into that fake at B.
Everything, including the timer. And it ticks too far for them. Double AWP set up for HELLRAISERS. As Fate, man, that was just... I don't understand what it is about last second rotations. Like, if you have it at 30 seconds and you commit full frontal towards the A site, I understand it, but it was literally 10 seconds when they started to establish their presence on the site. Much faster hit coming through from Fate this time. The CTs are ready for it. 4 players stacked up. 1 player playing contact at Banana. Flowers and Lime turning away. JR first casualty. Problem pops forward. Crossfire lot. Nicky gets himself 2 picks. And Han there with the AWP gets Lime. They have no idea. The bomb's still in Flourish's control though. Holding back towards Pit. AWP makes his way in. And Mar doesn't check it. Now he does. Flourish left alone. Gonna try and be the hero that Lion was earlier in that last round. Small gap to work with for the AWP though, as Han doubles up and equalizes on the board for Fate.
And that's much more like it. I much prefer to see rounds like that from Fate. It's aggressive, it's fast, it's playing as a unit and playing with the clock in your favor. Being able to get the smokes down on the side and actually start to clear out Graveyard and the site itself before dealing with Pit. They leave Flourish there, they get that bomb down, they can deal with Flourish later on into the round. 16-16, we are tied up. The double AWP still coming out for the HELLRAISERS camp, not opting for the third onto Lime. Fate putting up some very fast utility to take this Banana control. Oh, the damage onto Kalinka. He's down to 15 points of health.
Oh, that hurts. Nades up, trying to do some damage for the CT camp. Molotovs in and out. Extinguished by the flames, by the smoke, I should say, from one of those mollies. Kalinka tagged up early. Smokes go down, and still he holds very aggressive contact. Flash in, trying to force him off. Did he make his way up the stairs? Yes, he did. Sneak in by the smoke. Just waiting for the hit to come through from Fate.
Once again, bringing that third player over, but it's not JR. It's another rifler that gets rotated over. And for Fate, I'm just hoping, Jay, do not go for the fake. Just go for the straight execution. You have no lurker out through second mid, so you don't have the info. Just go for the full frontal attack.
Here they go. AWP set, ready, 2 players on the crossfire, locking them out. Problem gets himself the 2 kills, looking on for a triple against Mar. Mar and Nikki trying back to a 3-on-3. AWP shot not connected for Kalinka. He desperately needs to land one of these kills. He gets the 1. P250 up close against Nikki, drops him to 8 points of health, and now leaves all the rest of the work on Flourish and JR. Bomb plant can be secured. 2-on-2 for the retake, and how close JR was to landing a good scope in. Could not see him past the fountain though. And HELLRAISERS very back passive in towards this retake.
They've got a couple of HEs and an incendiary. Now they know where Nikki is. Very aggressive with that AWP around construction. Oh, the HEs though going out to the wrong position. They still do damage. 6 points of health now up for Nikki. The Deagle for JR's not going to make it work. It's the AWPs on the site that connect. And Fate get the lead going into the second half.
17-16 favor to the T side coming out into their CT half. And Fate somehow controlling everything above HELLRAISERS, despite the fantastic lineup that came through in that initial opening round of this half. And HELLRAISER's got to be thinking with how they're going to channel that inner sort of confidence that gave them the 8-1 lead. That was the most dominant we've seen them above Fate so far. The odds are stacked against them, but really it's anyone's game in overtime. 4 rifles out. Let's see what HELLRAISERS can do.
And that's the thing, is a lot of the time in overtime, it really just comes down to often who shows up, you know, who finds the opening kill, who puts the pressure on. It can really be anyone's game. 18 to 18 will go to another overtime. First one to get to 19 is going to be able to take the map. And for HELLRAISERS, you've got to think, are we going to see this explosive, hyper-aggressive execution basis from their T side, or will they start to slow it down? At least in the early round, taking the apartment's control, got a player out towards Banana, really being split over the entire map to find control.
Minute and 20. Nades and smokes up. Blocker. Patrick ready for the crossfire, locked on for Fate. Mar gets that opening kill instead. Third man joins that crossfire. Nades in, Molotov's down. Spacing from Kalinka goes nowhere. Blocker can take that frag pretty easy. AK and Flarage try and find that trade, and he's doing so much damage, but Han's getting kills elsewhere. Liam to fall over on the B side. Flarage to fall to the hands of Mar. JR will find one pick back, but he's all alone.
And there's no point saving. Might as well try and go for it, see what you can find. It'll be a 1-on-4 attempt for JR. He picked up another smoke. And really, you've got to think for Fate, they can't allow any overextensions. Play deep into the sites, play really passive, make sure that you're peeking on each other's contact. The last thing they want to give a player like JR is individual one-on-ones.
Orp. 20 seconds left. They heard that scope. They know where he is. Looking out towards the pit position, smoke down to the side, Blocker jumps up, takes that kill. Easy for Fate to get to map point. And if they steal this away from HELLRAISERS, what does that say about Dust 2? 2 rounds for HELLRAISERS, take it to a second overtime. Fate are within 1 of taking this map break here. And it has been a struggle from both sides, back and forth from both teams. A lot of work still to be done here for Fate to close the gap.
They just need that one good round, Jay. That one impactful one. Now, HELLRAISERS going in for some early banana control. The nade placement coming out for the CTs. Bit of damage done onto line, the follow-up nade. Oh, that's big. Oh. That's a lot of damage.
Force down their entry player to fall very low. If they had another HE, he'd be dead. Oh, Patrick and Nicky suppressed with flashbangs and smokes at this stage. The best they can do is just kind of hold off the T side, having done the initial damage. So the apartment's control, HELLRAISERS waiting for Fate to overextend, but so far no major extensions will come through. They're passive on their site defensives on their main positions. One player out of apartments might look to try and force the issue. Smokes are up and vision has been denied. AWP facing close to Blocker, sees the gun barrel, takes that point, wins it out, transfers back towards Problem as well. Blind shot comes through, reloads, faces, gets Flarage, gets Kalinka, and now on for the ace against Liam to close it out for Fate, and Blocker does it all. 19 to 16, and Fate take map 1.
An ace comes out from Blocker. Not only does he drop that bomb, but he takes everyone down. What a massive round coming out from Blocker. Oh my goodness, that will be one for the highlight reels. Blocker will be watching this back over and over again. What an insane play, Jay, to win out the map.
Unreal. Unreal from Blocker. And unreal from Fate as well. They have just taken their opponent's map pick. I did say previously they tried to take Inferno against the HELLRAISERS side, but I did not expect it to come through in this one, especially with the start that HELLRAISERS had. Remember, they were up so many rounds in the early half, and they've just choked that lead, left it go to OT, and Fate have just done that. They've taken HELLRAISERS map pick.
That's big, yeah. Up 8-1 Hellraisers. They had so much going for them. They looked so dominant in the early stages of that T side, but man, that's a big comeback from Fate. And look, it was sloppy from both sides. It wasn't the most perfect Counter-Strike being displayed on that first map, but it doesn't really matter, right? For Fate, they won the map. It's their opponent's map pick. That's a big victory in this series so far, but they need to keep their emotions under tail because they've still got at least one more map to play in this series.
And that map is Dust 2. It was picked by the Fate side, so you've got to hope that they have the confidence to carry it forward into our second map and get a 2-0 to stave off elimination. Do not go anywhere. It's map 2 of our best of 3 coming up after this short break. And welcome back to Malta Vibes. Welcome back to our elimination series between Fate and Hellraisers. If you're just joining us, Fate just took Hellraiser's map pick. And that is concerning for the Hellraisers side. They really needed to win Inferno, in my opinion. I thought they were going to have a dominant time on that one. I thought that Fate were going to win this out on maps 2 and 3. The fact they've already beaten them out on the first one indicates some bad trouble ahead of us for Dust 2 and Train.
It really does, doesn't it? You've got to think, yeah, it was certainly down to the wire. The fact that we went into OT, Fate were able to win it out. The fact that they've won out their opponent's map pick is a huge advantage going forward. And into Dust 2, there is certainly a really decent chance now for Fate to be able to get the 2-0 here. Going into Dust 2, we've seen a bit of a rocky performance from Hellraisers in recent times. Yeah, we saw Fate getting trumped up against Apex in the best of one where they weren't able to get to double digits. But after seeing that performance on the first map, I reckon Fate are in for a good shout, Jay.
Yeah, I mean, I said I would see. I said I gave them the possibility. It's still predicting Hellraisers to win the series overall if they were going to take it in 2. Obviously they can't take it in 2 now because they just lost their first. My main thing was the performance of JR, right?
Okay.
They're talking about him and how he was in a slump and whether or not he'd be able to perform. And for me, that was the linchpin of like, right, if he's popping off, they're doing good, and Hellraisers will have a decent chance. But unfortunately, he didn't have as an amazing time as we thought he would do. Some good AWP shots from him, but in the end, it was Problem and Flourish with the guys that were really sort of like performing of their own right. You can see the stats for Problem right there, and you can see how much of a far cry it is compared to the top fraggers of Fate. And that is the main thing that separates it for me. You know, I mean, if JR was in this position and he was holding a decent close contention against Mar, then yes, I think that would have been the way in. But the fact that he's not, the fact that Hellraisers were unable to take that map, the fact that they're unable to compare to individuals, I don't think they're going to be able to have a good time on Dust 2, which is so aim heavy, so frag heavy, especially, you know.
Yeah, I mean, one thing, you know, in the little break there, you know, we were watching a little meme video of Vega. For JR, like back on those Vega days, right, you know, he was a big name back then, you know, being the in-game leader and being a very impactful AWP player, and probably put his name on the map when he was on that Vega Squadron lineup. So the fact that in Hellraisers, you know, the last month, maybe last sort of 4-6 weeks, he's in a big slump is certainly not the greatest of affairs for JR. And you've got to think for Hellraisers, you know, his name's probably sort of floating around the chopping block a little bit, especially if this kind of continues. And for Hellraisers, if they're a team that's consistently at least making playoffs in Malta Vibes, that they have the potential of going down in 4th place in the group, the same as what they did against last week. Now, last week they did have like Forza, Gambit Youngsters, and MIBR in their group, but the fact that Hellraisers could again be going 4th in their group, it is not a great position for the organization.
It's one of those things where, unfortunately, contextually, last week it is going to look like it's understandable that they wouldn't make playoffs, but for this week, this week, there's a few less excuses, you know. And even though there are some stacked teams, we've got some very big talents in this tournament. I don't think Group A is the most stacked group of them all. So getting a chance to see them or just getting to see them in general just fall out of position and lose control here on this you know, here in this group stage indicates bad times to me for the Hellraisers side, not just in terms of the tournament, also in terms of their grand scale of things. As you mentioned, that organization is not going to be happy with that performance. They really need to turn it around here on Dust 2. But again, you know, take a look at the stats. I posed the question to you, Dwayne, do you see a world in which they do manage to take Dust 2 here?
I do. It's not very big. It's like if we're talking about like, you know, a percentage, it's down there, you know, like it's not big, because going into this series, I was thinking 2-1 for the Hellraisers. I was thinking, right, both teams are going to take their respective maps. But a lot of the time, especially in like tier 2 Counter-Strike, if you win your opponent's map pick in a best of 3, the chances you 2-0 just like skyrockets. It puts so much pressure on your opposition. And for Hellraisers, yeah, they put up some decent performances on Dust 2. In recent times, it hasn't looked great. We saw them taking on Gambit Youngsters twice in the last couple of like week or so. Didn't have some great results there. Lost to SG Pro yesterday, which is a bit of a shocker that you're losing to a team like that. So, look, for Hellraisers, I think they're going to have a really tough time on Dust 2, Jay.
Yeah, now to be fair, these are against some Russian teams that you would expect to be good on Dust 2, especially in the case of Gambit Youngsters, where they can be very proficient on this map. Right now, they're still competing over on the mainstream, and they're currently 6-0 up against Apex. The map that they just took earlier was Dust 2. They're playing on Mirage right now, so they're having a really good time. Not too dissimilar to the way the Hellraisers played out on Inferno, where they took their early sort of starts and were able to take control very early on in the series. Whether that will turn around from Apex is yet to be seen. But focusing back here on this map up in Dust 2 right here, There are some caveats to it. Obviously, as I mentioned, a lot of teams that they've taken on have been very good on Dust 2, but Fate themselves are also good on Dust 2. In the last time they played it here, on a day that looked good for the Hellraisers, they were just barely able to beat Fate 19-16 on Dust 2, which is the last time they played this map. So, seeing that the last map that they played on Inferno went to the overtime of its own right, are we expecting a similar thing here, or are we going to expect the likes of Fate to come into their own?
It's tough to say because a lot of the time it comes down on the day performance, and that best of one was looking pretty rough against Apex. The fact that they didn't really give themselves a lot of breathing room in that City side. The T side is normally the weakest sort of half of the Fate camp. So look, if they can get off to a good start, if they can put up some early momentum, if they can build rounds on CT, I think they should be able to take this pretty comfortably. Still probably give double digits up for the Hellraisers camp, but I don't think we'll get into those dicey rounds where we get to like round 28, 29, 30, and then even to OT. I think Fate should be able to pretty much secure this as a 2-0, but it needs to come off the basis of winning out that CT side, being able to claw up rounds. That's something they weren't able to do against Apex just a little bit earlier on tonight.
Yeah, I can agree with you to a certain extent. I think that a lot of it is actually going to rest on quite a fair amount's going to rest on the CT defensive and who gets the better CT side. But obviously, the majority of the rounds are still going to come. So, again, taking a look at those stats from the first map, comes to how Dust 2 is going to work out here, and you think to yourself, well, they've got better stats on the Fate side. They're looking like a much more proficient team. A lot of issues when it comes to the when it comes to the frag state of the players by comparison. So it feels like to me this probably should end up being, best of one aside, probably a simple affair for Fate, just thinking a comparison of their opponents right now.
Yeah, look, on paper, it sort of screams that way. Again, though, for Hellraisers, you just never really know when they're going to be showing up. You never really know when there's individuals that are going to be stepping up, because certainly on that first map, I would say for either team, we really didn't have, like, a star player. It seemed like, for the most part, for both teams, they were all, I don't want to say average, but there wasn't, like, that one person that put up, like, 40 kills and was, like, positive 20. It seemed like, for the most part, everyone was holding their weight really well. So, look, for Dust 2, I'm really looking at Hellraisers to be able to step up. I'm looking for Problem. I think he's a really good player on that CT side of Dust 2, and he really needs to be the man stepping up for me to be able to at least give Hellraisers a bit of a hope of trying to take this to a third map.
I'm still on my Fate pick for this one. I think they're going to take it in this map, to be honest. So as we go to the knife round, we're going to decide exactly who is going to come out on top here. Reminder to you all that Malta Vibes is brought to Gaming Malta at home and gaming excellence. Yes, Dust 2 will look to see the side picked by Fate. Will they go towards their T side half to start, or will they go to CT? They're going to switch over to that defensive side, so they're going to post up the worst half early here.
For Fate, seeing if they can just get some early momentum on the board. And you've got to think that our good friends at LootBet, Jay, are going to be offering them, or at least the fans of Fate, some pretty good deals. Let's have a look and see when their odds come up on screen. 1.58 for the Fate camp, 2.25 up for Hellraisers. If you do want to get involved in those exact odds, you can check out our fantastic betting partners of Loot.bet. Check out all the information underneath the Twitch channel in the Twitch banners. 10 free CSGO spins and up to 100 euros bonus on your deposit. Jay, we're jumping into the pistol round. A little bit of util and a kit out for Nikki. Again, a very heavy B setup towards this CT side on the B bomb side.
Taps up from USP of Blocker, trying to look for the opening kill. Takes initial damage to force him back here. Hellraisers will have the long control on passive positions, but in general, it's also passive from Fate to respond. Try and bait them in, but Nicky taking quite a lot of damage for his transgressions. The fuse kit and double flash for him as well. Needs to keep in play, needs to make sure he holds all this utility and, of course, the crucial kit that will be required for the retake of Fate.
A big retake setup coming out for the Fate squad, and JR is finding impact out from mid, Jay. He almost finds a second kill there. The damage he's done onto Nikki makes this really awkward now for the retake setup for Fate.
Stacking in several players to try to take him down, but still JR comes up good. 2 picks, couldn't quite land the third, but certainly a change of pace by comparison to that first map. 2 for 1, 4 on 3, retake incoming for Fate. They have to go for this on the pistol round. USP of Harm faces in. Problem and Flourish backed up. Harm going to make his way in. Flashbang going to catch 2 players. Blind looks towards Long, sees Lime, takes it out, looks towards Problem. Can't quite get that frag. Flaric chimes in simultaneously and gets a double up of his own for Hellraisers to take the pistol round.
It seems like JR was listening to us there in the pre-game, stepping up massively in the pistol round. The fact that all his job is look, see if you can waste as much time as possible, pull attention over to allow the long players to get to the site. He gets 2 kills, he does a massive amount of damage onto Nikki. That's a huge pistol round coming out from JR, and a big pistol round from HELLRAISERS in general.
Yeah, force buy coming in from Fate very early on as standard for the second round. Flowerich nades up problem. Flowerich and Kalinka take a nice HE straight towards the faces. So opportunity presenting itself for Fate to do the damage. No kills coming in for either side early though. Of course, the scouts of Patrick and Han going to be the ones that do the damage. Patrick is set towards long control as the mid take comes in, but no presence seen from HELLRAISERS outside of this longer utility.
Ooh, Patrick, though, did see the player getting into the pit position. I believe that's JR with the scout. And looking to see if he can fight with a little bit of an angle. For Fate, a little bit of aggression up towards short's going to get them a bit of an info. They can now start to gamble stack this A bomb side. That looks like what they're trying to do, Jay.
Scout versus Scout here. Who's going to land that first head first? Who's going to land that tag? Who's going to land that kill? Right now, JR's finding nothing, giving info away, and Fate have decided to gamble stack the A play. They're all held up towards short. 2 from CT will try and rotate back, but the smokes will come in, and the scout still sees his man. Taps up smoke to buy Patrick a bit of cover. Looks on, sees several. Nade's doing more damage. Can he catch Kalinka? No, he can't. Malta to force him back. Behind there with the scout, set towards CT. Liam on site, deals with Patrick. Awkward spray on blocker. Drops that bomb in the midst of the fire. So 4 on 3. The CT have gained control, and now they're making this round work. Are they going to go back and save it? JR's already backing up here. Going to try and get to a long position. Try and give Flourish a bit of hard cover. Han takes that tag to 5 points of health. Now they've got to save. Fate forcing the issue on HELLRAISERS, responding immediately with a force buy.
Oh, the gamble stack just works out perfectly. JR looking for some extra kills, but what can he really find? Needs to make sure he's holding on to this scout. Last thing he wants to do is die after time. Wow, what a response to come out from Fate. And look, it just comes off the back of doing a hell of a lot of damage. We see Han getting a scout shot through a smoke, and from there, they lock it down to the bomb site. Flourish realizes, or at least JR realizes, hang on a minute, I'm out of there. And it seems like for Flourish, he wants to go, but JR calls him back after he takes a bit of damage. A response instantly from the Fate camp.
And again, forcing players to save on the HELLRAISERS side this early in the matchup is just going to destroy the economy state. If they can keep that T side held on ecos, when the rifles come through, then they will find themselves with a major advantage and easy rounds going their way. But Flourish has other plans. Straight drive-by headshot. Diga to Kalinka looking behind desperately. Tagged him to 5 points of health, but can't get a frag. The AK is dealt with towards mid-control. Scout still firing away here for JR. 2 players are extremely low for this CT camp. The Galil start pushing in, trying to find his man. Sees him, sprays him. Kalinka comes in from short, keeps it at a 4 versus 3, and Fate are letting HELLRAISERS pick them apart.
Oh, there's so much damage. Han is on 5 HP, and for the T side, they're now starting to aggress out from short. They want to try and take this map control away. Nikki with the M4 needs to try and wide swing, but problem with the Deagle. Of course he wins out the fight. Flashbang coming in, trade coming out for Ma, follows up with 2 kills, and it's all down to JR.
He lands his headshot on Ma, and it's round over. He does get harmed through his teammate. Collateral shot, 1-on-1. Ma is now known entity, seen upscope through. No time left! And JR lands that perfectly. Oh, the pace has been set. Back and forth, blow for blow. Both teams going to trade force buys for initial contacts.
So this is the kind of game we're going to get, the forcey kind of game. Wow, those shots from JR were fantastic. Showed up with the scout, okay. Fate are not going to be forcing back. You know what? I really have to say that Solo, I don't know if it's Solo or whether it's Nikki's calling, but man, Fate used to be a team that forced at every opportunity. The fact that they're ecoing here, Jay, it seems like Fate have gone through like a new complexion and they've learnt economy.
Smokes and Molotovs in for the mid-control. Kalinka back up towards the lower tunnels. HELLRAISERS spread out here against the eco. Fate are not going to try and force the issue back again. They all concede this one, or at least try stacking, do some damage. Matt and Kalinka is going to be the main issue. If they feed themselves to that player, then they're going to get a lot of money for it. Khalil will rotate to position, now try and draw their attention away as the Mac 10 may get better opportunity here. Kalinka gets himself 2 picks. Problem gets 1. Nay just can't quite deal the damage, the finishing blow on the Galil. And Han left alone in the 1-on-5. Should get faced in, should get taken out. Indeed, the AK will try hunt him. So he's been seen. And he'll go down in the end. All 5 alive for the T side. Fate not quite in buy status here. It'll be a very hard force play if they opt to go for it.
See, that's the thing, is that's why we were sort of saying, okay, if you go back and forth, that's why you forced in that last round, because you still don't really have enough money to buy into round 5. So it's going to be a half buy instead. But then I kind of look at that last round and think, well, if they forced and then ecoed here, you get the same result, do you know what I mean? And you'd probably find more kills in terms of a force buy in that last round. I mean, even for JR, getting that opening pick, they realized, right, let's just go quick in a beat. And you'd actually expect for Fate, can't really find much on this half buy now that the B bomb site's just been completely opened up.
Well, Mar will still lurk around here. They aren't going to lose much on a force buy. They've got rifles coming in round 6. Certainly a good T-side start from HELLRAISERS. Small go to the board of this T-side camp. Fate have the Eagles and these scouts that are going to save into the next round. Again, I don't really know why. They're going to buy rifles anyway.
See, that's what I was thinking, right? Is that you're just wasting weaponry. At least if you forced in that last round and everyone went down, you could just eco for the next. Where Fate, they've got to make a decision, right? Do we want to get rid of these scouts that we've invested 1,700 in, or do we want to keep them into the following round? And that's what makes this buy a little bit weird. And they'll at least be able to hold on to the armor for Nikki and Blocker. But yeah, I'll be interested, Jay, whether they hold on to any of these scouts.
I mean, maybe if they can't afford an orb, they'll try to go for it. But JR will take down 1, so definitely Mar's going to be up for the buy. As will the rest of the pistols that they did have. M4's in. Scout passed off to Han. I thought he bought another one there. I was about to be very concerned, but he could easily buy the AWP if he'd like to. But just going to stick with the 1 sniper, not bother with a big green gun. M4's in utility across the entire board here. The Scout's still here for JR. He's been doing pretty good with it so far. Early games have been pretty successful for him. It's a case of carrying that forward into the mid and end game.
Absolutely. All about being consistent. And Fate. Well, you've seen a little bit of aggression from them towards towards the upper tunnels over at B in that opening best of 1. Wow, this is just looking to be a straight execution to come out from HELLRAISERS, not wasting any time whatsoever, Jay.
Flashes, M4s. Nikki and Patrick hold crossfire towards Car. Patrick gets 1. Flaric trades it. Nikki held back to the back line. Desperately looking for a kill. Flaric will double up. And there's still 1 player outside the doors. Mar knows that Flaric is in a corner here. Knows that that bomb is there as well. Trying to nade him up, do some damage. Doesn't connect much in the end. A 4-on-3 scenario. Fate locked out of the B bomb site with a backstab coming through from Blocker. They're going to wait for him if they want to go for the retake here.
And you got to think, surely there's no way you can retake this. Like, 3-on-4. A single get onto Mar, not a great amount of utility. Yeah, like even the A players are so far back, they're out of there. And Jay, who picked this map? I just, like, this is such a dominant start coming out from HELLRAISERS. The fact that they 1 pistol, lost the anti-eco, and then found a response back after there. They're setting themselves up to really put early pressure on, and you know what, could get a very similar scoreline like they did on Inferno of going 8-1 up.
To be fair, this is a T side from HELLRAISERS. You expect them to do well on this half.
Yeah, that's true.
Again, it's a case of who's going to have the better CT side. The Fate. Definitely hope for better at this one. Oh,
and then the shots you're talking about. We want to see more than that. We want to see the AWP in his hands. I mean, at 10K,
he can afford it.
Yeah, he really can.
When does he opt to upgrade? Does he just stick with a Scout until it just dies with it? I mean, it would be the ultimate value gained from that weapon, but...
yeah.
AK's in, Scout's out. For both sides, the scouts are out. The M4's coming back from the Fate side as they reinvest with their safe weapons. But Fate need to get some rounds on the board here. They have had a dominating start against them. Just the spread out default team from HELLRAISERS. This time a lot more passive compared to previous rounds.
Fate going for an early challenge out towards long, and they've got complete control. Now, Blocker, we've seen him playing towards a pit position for the most part. This time around, just playing a long angle position instead. HELLRAISERS really starting to slow down the clock and try and take the short control. Fate, though, very spread on this default in the city side. And bringing a second player over towards long of Han. Now, he's only got a scout to play around this car position, Jay.
Oh,
Okay, that just came out of nowhere.
I mean, good read on Kalinka, fair play. We've got Blocker next standing here against two players, takes out Flowage before getting traded. Pratt still got Han close with the scout, can't get the damage done towards probably going to get the kill though. 28 points of health, the scout JR still tapping away. Very high HP for him as well. There's a backstab coming through, you're right, Patrick. M4 sees the bomb planter, trying to take out Problem, but couldn't land the kill shot. They'll know they're rotating back towards the B site, though. Lion takes out Nikki 3-on-2. Patrick continues to see them making their way out of the mid position, and Lion shuts it down. What a start from Fate, but what a recovery from HELLRAISERS.
What are some of these duels coming out? And even for Mark getting a really sloppy spray out to JR. Can't connect the kill. 1-on-3. They know exactly where he is. Lime just putting his head down, making sure that he can't be seen. Pops up. And Mark gets swung on from Problem. Like, some of those duels were so damn crispy. The fact that you get a long-range AK shot like that is so difficult. And what is not as difficult is using two codes, MaltaV and MaltaV15, over at our great partners at hellcase.com. Open up some sick cases and get some sick skins. Get some money in your account and a 15% refill bonus. Everyone likes free money. And everyone likes, you know, a little bit of added extras, Jay. Why not?
A technical pause coming through, so extra time for round 8 to get started. Now, I don't know if Fate have been suffering from tech issues the entire time, whether they just noticed it or what's going on here. But either way, it's a moment's respite that could break the momentum of HELLRAISERS, obviously unintentionally so. There shouldn't be much of a response from Fate. I mean, they could invest in full, but Patrick and Mar in particular are going to have some worries buying up the M4s and everything. Especially when it comes to utility bases. They can all, I think they can all afford M4s and Kevlar. No, actually, Mar can't because it's $50 off.
Haven't heard that sound before.
That's just me, that's my thinking noise. That's my thinking, and wait a minute, hold on, I'm not thinking about this right noise, so... But yeah, Fate in a very awkward position. They might consider a half-buy for this round.
I'm just having a look at hellcase.com. There's actually an Azarko Boars case. That's actually kind of cool. Apparently it's a top seller. $5.50 to open. We've seen them a few times in Multivibes, haven't we? The polls. Well, that's what, like, we'd who's on that lineup? Shuhai and what have you. They revamped their Polish team, didn't they? I suppose so did Fate. They brought in, well, obviously 3 players recently. I've seen quite a lot of teams in Tier 2 starting to like revamp their rosters. I mean, we've got HELLRAISERS on the server too. What am I talking about? We've got 2 teams here that have revamped rosters.
Gotta try to grind their way up and try and make your way into Tier 1.
Absolutely. The ultimate goal.
It's harder than ever to do that these days, so
yeah.
Gotta make every concerted effort. But those efforts got to try and come up trumps against their fellow Tier 2 teams at this stage. As you mentioned, both Fate and HELLRAISERS revamping their rosters very recently, in a position now to try and prove who's the best at the moment. And right now, HELLRAISERS are in control of this one, even though Fate are up by a map. So make of that as you will, but certainly not the best of starts from Fate. It has been very underwhelming. Even, CTT side, whatever, you know, all that stuff. I mean, even so, 6-1 is still a very dominating start in this one.
Yeah, look, it's off to a great start. And for HELLRAISERS, I mean, there's a couple of players that I think really want to prove themselves on this roster. I'd say JR and Kalinka are probably the two that sort of strike the most. The fact that these guys are, you know, they're getting on. I think they're in like their late 20s now. They've been around for a really long time. None of them have really had like big pickups. I mean, JR obviously playing on Vega was like quite a big team back in the day. But for Kalinka, it seemed like he never sort of like made that jump. So both these guys obviously getting to points in their career where they really want to prove that they can still compete, they can still put results up. And yeah, look, for the HELLRAISERS camp, you know, both the maps so far, they've been able to get off some really decent starts. It really seems like it's the turn of the half where things start to struggle. One point you mentioned is like, who's going to have like the weakest CT half? Well, for the most part, with a 6-1 scoreline, haven't really got to see a lot from Fate in this first half. Even look at the kills. You've got 4 players on 2 kills. And everyone on HELLRAISERS has got more than 2. Coincidence?
Maybe not. I mean, well, considering this is how it started out on the first map, you know, remember, HELLRAISERS had their dominant 8-1 victory before, or 8-1 sort of, you know, streak before Fate really came back into their own and doing their own damage.
That is true, yeah.
And that was on T-side of Inferno as well, with a very balanced map, and could be T-sided for a team that knows how to play the offensive side, but... HELLRAISERS, currently starting things off on the right foot, may continue to make that happen for their own right. Hearing ticks in my head, hoping that this does not get this pause does not last much longer, and there it is. Here we go. Back into the game. Fate have made their decision on the buy-up. It is going to be basic half-buys coming through, upgrade pistol, scout, Kevlar. Lack utility for most players, but that should be fine.
Looking to do some damage. Looking to see maybe if they can limit the T-side economy. You look at Problem, Flourish, and Lime. They're all 10k plus, so a lot of money for those guys. Even JR's getting close to it. And now he's got an AWP. Jay's been scouting for quite some time. And looking to see if they can continue this early presence on the T side. Fate going for a bit of an aggressive short approach. You should expect these nades to do a fair bit of damage. They actually do a lot more than I expected them to do.
That's up to the pistol to try and finish off that damage. The Eagles and CZs are pretty deadly, especially the CZs with this damage here. PT50 on Patrick as well could also tap his way through to a couple of good headshots and easily take down these two. Gotta get the high HP ones to enter here for HELLRAISERS. Nade up against Liam. Oh, lands a bit short. 1 point of health though. He's on 7 points of HP overall. And Kalinka finally swings out to the B site, gets the opening frag.
A big duel coming out from Kalinka, and that just relieves a bit of pressure. HELLRAISERS have taken so much damage in terms of nade placement that getting a kill is just going to be able to open up the round. Flourish has been able to escape out from long completely without seeing anyone, so an approach to maybe try and bring that bomb forward. JR with the AWP, no, he's actually dropped the AWP over to a teammate, and instead he's rifling with the M4.
Smokes down, Molotov's in, flash over to catch off blocker, the scout player set in the backline. He's got so many players that attacked up for him though. All he needs is a good bullet to land on towards body shots, and he will have something, but no. Kills coming into Flourish. All 5 alive, but you could see the HP numbers and how close Fate is getting some impact in that round.
Yeah, wow. Like, Fate will probably be a little bit disappointed watching back that demo, realizing how much damage they did. They weren't able to convert more there. And double AWPs, Jay. Okay, it's going to be the in-game leader of Nikki picking up that secondary AWP. Be interesting to sort of see where he decides to go with this. But for Fate, a team that we don't see running double AWPs all too often, realize the situation being 1-7 down on their own map pick. They need a change up and they need a secondary AWP.
Kalinka, AK. Pops straight forward and gets shut down, this time punished by Hahn. Nikki gets a second kill on Flourish in towards that mid position, so a 5-on-3. Finally, Picks going the way of Fate, and it's very similar to how things went previously. Again, HELLRAISERS got their big start to an 8-1 scoreline, now 7-1 this time before finally the CTs look confident. Trades are coming through for Problem, though. Swing out with a Molotov. He goes down with Patrick wide facing, taking a frag. M4 sprays through, gets one. Nicky trades it, and JR is all that remains. 1 on 3. Out in tunnels, no chance to Hell.
And what's really important there from Fate is after they get that 5-on-3, Jay, they're trading out evenly. Always holding on to that 2-man advantage. JR's not going to be able to hit the shot for the close range onto Mar. Much better from the Fate camp, and it was a bit of an overextension coming out from Kalinka, hiding in the long corner smoke, getting a flash out from his teammate. The AWPer not being blind to find the opening kill. We see Nicky finding one out from mid. Much better from Fate, and they just need to hold a little bit more of a contention, Jay. If they were able to get a few rounds in a row, start to build up a bit of self-confidence, that's really where they can start to open up this map and get back in the game.
Look at the fast play from Problem straight out of the gate. No idea that Patrick's right back in the Hiko spot. Takes the frag, immediately cleans up the opener. Nicky is back passive on the B side. Going to need to call in for that backup relatively soon.
Triple boost.
Triple boost from the AWP. As soon as they can't see anything here towards Plat, or actually Nicky's considering an extension, he will not opt to go for it. If he does, it will be a bad time for him.
Yeah, it works really nicely. If you've got a lurk smoke out from the B tunnels, you can often catch off the player towards back plat quite easily with that boost. But with Nicky, making sure that he's not being in a position where he can be seen from the tunnel's entrance. Looking for a very aggressive peek, and he's actually going to pay the price for it. Oh, that's a missed smoke.
Oh, big missed smoke. Flash has come over. Patrick gets dealt with by Lime. He's caught completely blind. And just like that, finally, as soon as the AWP starts peeking in, he gets shut down. And HELLRAISERS execute off the back of it, take out its only site anchor, 4 on 3. And this must be a safe call from Fate. They are so bad passive. They're on short and mid. Back up towards outside of tunnels, looking for exits. Wow, how quickly that round turned around for Fate.
The fact that that angle is being pre-aimed from Nicky with the AWP, and then JR peeks into it and still wins out that fight, is showing that he's on top form, at least on Dust 2. He's been looking incredibly sharp, looking very impactful. And this is a similar sign to what we saw in Inferno, Jay. At least in the first half, not being able to follow up rounds was a struggle from them. Or I should say, at least in the best of one, right, against Apex. They had 4 rounds in that first half on the CT side, but it was all individual. Do you remember that?
Individual fights that win out the rounds here for HELLRAISERS as the T side continues to just dominate as anything here. They have claimed the half. They may well look to claim the map if things keep going along this way. Flashes over. Lion going to peek up first. Here towards the short control. Very fast defaults in from the HELLRAISERS, wasting no time setting up what they want here. It looks to be a short play or at least an ace split.
A very quick map control coming through, and that might start to rattle the rotations up on the CT side. Fate, we haven't really seen them start to get aggressive in lower tunnels or upper tunnels. A lack of information a lot of the time on their CT side, being very deep into the sites after taking long control. HELLRAISERS trying to set themselves up for an ace split.
Damage done. Blocker opens up the first of Flarich. Big kill. Mar back over the platform, flashes over, sees that face in, or the ramp positioning takes that face in. Lime gets a kill, Han trades it back. Bomb gets dropped in CT cross as well. That's a major frag to find because Nicky's still here. And he finds the 2 players on site. JR, all that remains, out towards mid position. We'll scope in, look for the player at CT, but he's out of the round.
Yeah, there's no real way back in here for JR. He's got to pre-aim the angle to the left of him. 1v2, okay. Car player swings a blocker. And that's more like it coming out from Fate, dealing with the split from the T's. And for HELLRAISERS, as soon as that bomb gets dropped down into CT, like that round's done. They have to try and recover it. And it's just the most awkward position possible.
That frag right there is what won them the round. There's just Nicky cleaning up the rest of the forces on the site. HELLRAISERS move up and out, flashes over JR with his face down, hoping to evade the flashbang blindness. He burns the life from the Molotov thrown there by the CT camp. The smoke will reveal his position, but he takes a ton of damage for it as well. Lion peeks in, gets Mar, however. The nade from Blocker will finish off the AWP. 4-on-4, and Hahn sees another player back up towards short, falls back passive, gets the Hahn cover, evades the trade.
Problem gets lucky there. He was just dry walking into that short position, so the fact that he doesn't go down from that AWP's a big advantage for the T's to work with now. There's a lurk over to B, so a potential of trying to fake the short take and going in for the mid to B split. Hahn's seen another player though.
Oh, turns away as the head peeks up. Again, they drive the AWP away. Smoke down, Molotov's in, trying to force him back over towards the car position. Got Patrick once again held towards this eco spot. Lime does not check it for a second round. They offer up that kill. He fights against Flowey to drop the bomb, and now knows they got CT control. His teammates going to adjust against that. He's got backs turned towards the A site and exposed towards the B window, leaving it all to Kalinka. The only player left in the back of platform on the B site. Could flash in, maybe pull some distraction, but I doubt he's winning a 1v4 clutch.
A big round from Patrick. Oh, even Kalinka gets tagged up by the scout. Or by the AWP, I should say. Just trying to see if he can find a tap with his 8K. Spam coming through, no damage, and even trying to save in T's board is going to be an issue because that's where Blocker is. A fourth round now up for Fate, and again, we've just seen like these mid plays coming out from Fate being so successful. For HELLRAISERS, it seems like they're never flashing themselves out through mid. Patrick not blind at all, no flashbang was even there. And just the lineup, dropping that bomb, does so much work for the CTs.
Second time they've gone for that cubby position in that eco spot, and they've been able to make it work. This time without a trade for the HELLRAISERS, really threw up some problems. And now they're down to tactical pause here. I believe they're first of this map, if memory serves me correctly. AK is on 2. Save from the CT camp, 2 M4s in the AWP of Hahn. And a rebuy back from HELLRAISERS. I think they've dropped an AWP down there in the spawn position. There's an AK also in spare. Okay, no. Kalinka's going to grab the M4. JL's going to grab the AWP. Look for shots down mid position. Set up the defaults. HELLRAISERS do have a 4-buy in this round.
A little bit unlucky with a lot of these shots in recent times for JR in comparison to the early start of this first half. Regroup into the upper tunnels. Fate starting to regain some control on this CT side. Oh, this nade, if it could be placed right and timed perfectly into the lower tunnels, it could do a mass amount of damage. Oh, it does decent amount. Oh, that one does better.
Earlier, that could have done more. Case in point. Well, that nade was placed better. Kalinka problem, Lion. All tagged to 50 points, roughly or lower. Molotov's in, Mar flashed in to try to take place against them, sees 2 players, takes out 1, drops that bomb. Incendiary back to try to force problem even further away. I don't think that Molotov will extend further fact. Are they going to try and reface this? JL's got the AWP on lock here. He doesn't get blind off, still misses the shot. Problem comes in, spray with the M4, takes that fight. And their aggression on the CT side is punished here. 4-on-3 situation, favor to the T side, but Hahn has something to say about that.
Oh, they didn't spot the flare out towards long. Hahn with the MVP. That is a sick shot onto Flowey, and that's an answer back in. But Patrick's going to get traded into the 2-on-2, and trade goes back once again. Chaos out in this short position, and now JR's in a 1-on-2.
Upset, bomb on his back, dropping in. I believe Hahn may have heard that. It's going to start extending, carefully facing, slowly but surely, making no noise. Nicky, the solo holder of the B site, back behind Platt. Watching the doors. Gotta look towards window now. The AWP faces in, does not see his man. Nicky spots him first. No, he doesn't! Oh! The AWP shot can connect! JL's got a chance of this. 1-on-1. Bomb plant open for the front corner, making its way out towards the B doors as well. Not seeing where Hahn is. Hahn not taking face. Looking out from window instead. Patience is a virtue for the man. A 3K for the AWP clutch. And it will be a 5th for Fate.
Oh my goodness, that round had so many emotions to it. Like, we saw Fate in a great position, then HELLRAISERS brought it back, then Fate traded, then HELLRAISERS traded. It went back and forward so many times. And it all started off of dropping that bomb, getting the opening kill, and then over-aggression coming out from Fate. Harm brings this round back. He does so much work. The fact that he deals with the long flank, and then JR, I mean, what a shot onto Nikki on the site itself. Just trying to jump spot out through the doors to try and check into that CT mid position. A 5th on the board now for Fate. They're starting to get some control now, Jay.
Look at this, M4 Amar ready with the smokes down, flash facing away, Kalinka goes falling, so does Flowers, that's easy for him. And now Fate are feeling it, being pressured and suppressed and beaten down round after round for what was basically like 8 rounds in a row or something like that. And now they're finding the frags, now JR's making mistakes. He does manage to catch Mar, but a 2-for-1 trade favors the CT side.
Yeah, they're coming back into their own. They're really starting to feeling it, playing with a lot of confidence. Oh, even the timing on this too. JR backing off. If he goes down, that bomb's just completely dropped in like the worst position possible. Do they see him? Oh, you are kidding.
No.
What is going on with the timing, Jay, in this round?
That's pixels of a difference as well for JR.
They can bring the bomb long.
They can. A
They
kill
got
did
2
come in
smokes.
from Han to one of the long players here. I don't know who fell down, but you can see is the faded you know, player on the minimap. I believe that's Liam actually. But either way, that's a frag for the AWP and a push coming from Patrick. I think they realize it. I think they know what's going on.
You say that though. And they're actually watching for the long flank. Now, there is a lot of information from Fate, but it's whether they overextend. Now, with 2 smokes, they can go for the cross to get that bomb onto the site. And 25 seconds though, Jay, they need to get a bit of a move on it because they got to clear out the site itself.
Focus on cross, incendiary back from Blocker. Oh, he blind fires, gets down both, takes down one in the AWP. Not even necessary. Patrick on the backstab will clean it up. Wow. M4A1S, a Blocker, did so much right there, but it was Mar with the opening 2 frags that really set the round up.
That was sick. That was unbelievable from Mar. And he's certainly a player that his name has been thrown around in the Bulgarian scene for a few years now. I think this is his first professional team on Fate. Been on the lineup for a very long time, at least 18 months, maybe even longer. Wow, that was just incredible. Ooh, Han. An opportunity to try and find the first. Is this going to be another B Exy to come out from HELLRAISERS? It might be.
Patrick's ready for it. Can he bottleneck them in? I think I'm here the utility. Ready for face up, sprays through, sees one, pops right out. Patrick gets one, Kalinka gets right behind him. Nikki sprays through, takes 1 and 2, on for a 3K. Trying to continue the spray to 4, but runs out of ammo. So JR can get the trade, look for his second man though, and Marble shuts him down to bring the 15th round to the favor of the CT side. Fate may have lost the half, but they bring it as close as possible. 8-7 to go to the second.
That's a beautiful recovery. There's no other way of saying it. The fact that you're down 1-7 and you bring it back to 7 rounds at the end of that half, that's fantastic. That really changes the complexion of this entire second map. We were looking at a point of HELLRAISERS just absolutely destroying any kind of momentum. Individuals are having really big impact as well on that Fate side. It was Nikki, the B defender, that really cleaned up the round after Patrick went down on a trade. And JR too. Big performance from him. 16 kills, just 7 deaths. We needed him to show up, but we need the team to show up, Jay.
Oh, odds over our partners at Loot Bet, favouring Fate at this stage. They have favoured Fate throughout the majority of this series so far. And with the pacing working out well for them, will they be able to make it work for the pistol round? Kalinka set here towards window, and Patrick drops him. USB closed for problem, only gets 1 frag on a damaged up player as well. Nikki turns around towards the CT rotation. They have site control, they have a bomb plant. Nikki does get caught by the aim punch, but it's a 3-on-2 in favour to Fate.
Tough retake coming out for the HELLRAISERS camp. Fate locked it down in the post plant. Great attempt to try and fake out the short commitment to go in mid to B. And it's all down to Flourish and JR to try and pick up the pieces, get this retake on. JR's already shown off his position, but Flourish is unknown at this point. And picked up the kit, trying to get into the site. A kill goes the way of JR. Flourish now brings it into one-on-one. Tap it away! Oh, they win it out, Jay! And there's time to get the defuse through. What a retake coming out from HELLRAISERS. The 2-on-3. Fate looks so solid in that post plant.
Flourish 3 kills for him. That was unreal shots coming through from the guy. JR was the supportive element. He did get that initial kill, but these shots and then this duel, if it had come in a second later, I think that would not have been around for HELLRAISERS, but it is a pistol going their way, and Fate will be miffed at that one.
Any post plant at B with any man advantage, that round's pretty much secured. That was an unbelievable retake coming out from Flourish in particular. A half-buy attempt now going into round 17 for Fate, looking to see if they could do even more economical damage. HELLRAISERS, think of the momentum that's going to give them. Think of the confidence. The comms they must be just so happy with that round there.
Fate got a bomb plant, so a bonus buy in, a half buy though, a bit of a heavy half buy. SMG facing forward, a problem. Blocks them right here, trying to take a fight against one, takes Blocker down as a player that has made his way all the way around towards the mid to be split. Might catch off the player back at flat. 2 pistols in, Nicky gets that one frag, Kalinka chimes in of his own right, gets overwhelmed. So 3 on 3, another bomb plant could be secured by Fate.
Oh, so far, so good from the Fate camp, but they need to be able to defend this close part, and it's going to be tough in terms of the weaponry advantage that HELLRAISERS have. Patrick looking to over-aggress. He's going to swing out for the window position. Oh, and he even finds JR for it.
Looking for a bit more, but Flourish will shut him down the low HP. Eventually comes up on Deagle down on Lion and turns away towards the smoke to get a 2K and get Fate back in that 1-round differential. What's a half buy from these guys?
Oh my goodness, what is going on? We are seeing crazy scenes on Dust 2. And this is twice now, Jay, where we've seen the pistol round being won from HELLRAISERS. The response comes in from Fate. Now, if history will repeat itself, HELLRAISERS will win this round because that's exactly what happened in the first half of this map. Fate, though, only have to deal with just upgraded pistols, a single MP9, no scout out for that CT side. But look at the CTs. They've already pressed through the upper tunnels. They've got already heaps of info.
Rush through from the M4 of Mar. We'll see them. We'll now know what's going on. Only one player facing him, though, so they'll only get that much information. Won't know how many are there towards the lower tunnels, or the upper tunnels from the B-bomb site. And they've read this pretty perfectly here, HELLRAISERS. The info come through, realizing that it's probably going to be a long play, and that's exactly what they've got. 4 players total, inside and outside the longhouse. Flashes will come over to try force the issue back on the CT camp, but no one's going down just yet.
And even Problem starting to aggress up from short. Blocker, that's a big kill. It's hard on Blocker to work together to stay down alive. Now they need to commit to the A bomb site. They can't waste any more time, especially with how many players are here at A.
Blocker with the AK, facing away, smoke down, re-smoke from the CTs on the bomb site. Nice gap for Flourish to work. Is Blocker going to check this? Oh, the flashbang will keep his man blind, sprayed through. Kill comes out, going to check around this corner. Flourish dealt with, and 2 players left standing. HELLRAISERS probably going to start doubting at this stage whether they can close out this map. Very similar to how things went down over on Inferno. 9-9 when the real fight started happening. And hey, at least they can be certain about who's going to be facing them in the next round. Gambit Youngsters just beat Apex 2-0 over on the mainstream, so Apex will be the opponents of our winners in this best of 3. And if Fate get to 16 first, it will be them that take the map.
Wow, that second map was quick. Do you know the score of that that second map? Because it was like 16-14. Oh, okay. That's kind of surprising. It's like, it feels like both series.
It started like about like, they were 3 rounds deep by the time that we started our map up here. And then, of course, we had that massive tech pause partway through, which allowed them to get really, really far on.
Yeah, okay. I suppose we had OT too, right? So in the first
we had
map?
OT in our first map, yeah. So.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Oh, Fate. It would be a rematch of the best of ones, wouldn't it? Looking to see if they can get a bit of redemption, but they need to focus on this match here. 9-9, looking for the 2-0, looking for the lead as well. And Nicky fast out towards Longhouse, and there's not really too much that the CTs have. They've got a Deagle and a bit of armor on for Kalinka. A Zeus for JR. I've seen a lot of Zeuses, actually, in this series so far. I don't think any of them have ever got a kill, though.
Not today, at least. I'm trying to think.
Yeah,
Number
I
one
don't
so
remember.
far in the best of one or the best or the first map. Plenty of M4 kills though, as Mar finds one on Kalinka. Might have seen one on the mainstream, never know, but... Damage done to Patrick, Hahn and Mars, so at least these pistols of Hellraisers are doing some amount of HP potential. Case of converting them into actual frags now.
And that's the big thing, though, is that, yeah, there's one thing of doing damage, but you need to really be able to convert them into some actual kills. Fate just going back to the longhouse control. Slow walking up for long, so not really giving too much information away. Cross smoke's going down. And for Hellraisers, just maybe try and spam this smoke, see if you can find any kind of impact.
E2K close, he doesn't spam it, he waits, gonna try and swing forward at the right moment. All down to timing, man's tagged up. Face forward, Nicky gets a spray through the smoke, he realizes what's going on. The re-smoke comes down towards that cross position, so they're pretty much covered off the CT. Hellraisers with no chance to work in here. They're gonna have to concede. No rifles they can pick up either, it's just the basic pistols they can hold into the next round.
All right. So is this the first time we've actually seen Fate taking the lead, at least in this matchup, in this series, in this map, I should say, of the series? I think it's always been tied, right? We've had a couple of tied scorelines a few times, maybe 3 or 4 times so far. But believe it's the first time they've ever taken a lead.
In the series or in the map?
Oh, this map.
Okay. I was like, you say ever, I'm just like, that doesn't seem right.
They won map 1.
Yeah, don't calm down. In this map, yes, they have always been a number of steps behind Hellraisers. The closest they ever got was, of course, the 9 to 8 or the 8 to 7 in the turn of the half.
They had the 1-1, and that was about it. I think that was the only other time, like right at the beginning of the map. But never a lead.
Yeah, never a lead for the Fate side. That changes here in round 20. They look to put 11 to the board against Hellraisers, which probably could take them even further than that. The economy is wrecked for the CT camp. Just got to get some confidence going here on T. If they do that, they'll be sailing straight.
No, they needed to deal with JR out towards long. Completely blind, opening AWP kill coming through. Fate have 3 players stacked up in the upper tunnels. Oh, Kalinka. He could see so much, Jay.
Oh, burst in, sees 2, takes 1 with an awkward spray, but gets it together on Patrick in the end. 5-on-3 scenario, Nicky and Hahn making their way out. M4 burst is very awkward. They do come up with a frag, and Hahn gets dealt with by Kalinka, continuing to face through in the back line. Mar left alone, out towards mid position, on towards short. Does see Flourish. Flourish takes him down, and there you go. Fire lit under Hellraisers to try and equalize against Fate, and they're successful here in round 20.
As soon as they find the lead, it is taken away from them immediately. What a great response coming out from Hellraisers. And no one on that Fate camp, but watching the lower tunnels, we saw Kalinka swinging up, dropping that bomb, finding 1 kill, spotting out even more, relaying that information across. A lot of rotations come in. A strong defensive hold coming out from the CT camp. Ooh, Hahn doesn't go for the shot. Some early flashes to fake out a quick B play. JR, look how aggressive he is with the AWP.
Trying to catch some opening kill here towards that short position. The nades will force him away. Now Nicky moves up towards the Xbox area. Head ducked below the short wall. JR's wrapped around anyway. You're going to face him against Hahn. Tight angle to take, and he opens up the round for Fate.
Big kill. That's really big. Battle of the AWP as Hahn wins it out. That opens up a lot of opportunities now for Hellraisers. Knowing the fact they took down a mid player tells the information that it was one of the A rotators, especially with the fact that they know that JR plays out towards long. They've got an opportunity to try and split down and taking deep mid control. They can split into the A bomb site. They can even start to slow it down and wait for aggression to come out from the CT camp. A lot of options for them to work with. And it looks like the B players want to start to over-aggress to get a bit of info out from mid.
Back around
there it
into the long house control. Hahn finds Kalinka also facing from the mid door. Much larger angle to hit, and the AWP does not miss those shots. And Hellraisers, off the back of the confidence from the last round, Now losing all manners of control. Lion, the only linchpin in towards short, could catch the bomb planter. If they do, then he'll get the info, maybe even the frag against them. Sees the AWP, but takes him down, traded back by block, and now it's all on problem. 17 seconds for 3 kills. If he gets them, he'll secure the round right here. Takes a fight on Nicky, loses it out. Flourish to grab the AWP and run for the hills because he's lost the round.
I lost the economy basis too. Things are going to be looking pretty rough for HELLRAISERS going into the following round. And it all comes off the back of Han. What I love there is he gets an opening pick of JR and Fate. It's almost like they do nothing. And what I mean by that is that they just slow down and they wait. Wait for an opportunity that someone overextends on that city side. We saw the B players starting to overaggress, wanted to see what was going out on mid because they've got no info. And then as soon as Han gets a couple of kills, they go, right, let's just go straight in through the mid to B. And trade out really nicely and see if they can hunt down Flourish. It'd be really impactful if they can get rid of this AWP.
Oh, he takes 2 frags though, so he's going to have impact against the T side economy. Not quite getting Nicky next though. He's taking damage. Would he get away with this one? He does get away with that frag, so 4 players fall for the T's. The rebuy will still come through for them. There'll be no chance for HELLRAISERS to reset them off the back of this next round. They keep the AWP in. Actually, they're still going to force it, so maybe there might be an opportunity yet.
Okay. No, Flourish does hold on to that AWP at least. Really important that he stays alive. Lead now gained again from the Fate camp. Couple of MP9s on the factor of Problem and Lime. Very aggressive out from Nicky, and he finds the open. A big jewel to win out.
No, that was a player at that corner area, but couldn't catch him at the edge of that smoke. A gap there towards the wall. Han taking face on towards short. They have aggressed pretty far here and not seeing anybody. They leave the mid control as a result, but information will get gained out by Flourish. Starts to rotate. Patrick takes that face in alongside Nicky. They get the kill on the man. Lower tunnels. Upper tunnels going to be heard out here. Facing from block, and they have no idea that Mar's so close. And they force HELLRAISERS to overextend. Every player knowing exactly what to do for Fate, and all 5 go down. The force buy works horribly for HELLRAISERS.
And a little point as well that I kind of want to add in. Fate have lost 8 best of 3s in a row. Forza, Galaxy Racer, K23, Sparta, Windstrike, AGF, Nexus, and SG Pro. 8 best of 3s in a row, Jay. And they're looking at potentially trying to 2-0 against HELLRAISERS. That would be absolutely massive. Oh,
already they're starting things off on the right foot. No smoke down to that mid position for the CT camp, and Problem on 11 points of health for the tag. Through the door, not a kill, not a problem though. Not a problem for Problem. Nicky takes him. And that's already B-side gain. That's probably already round over here. Fate just not wasting any time with these hits. And now the rifles of Mark can clean things up towards the mid control.
Nice and easy. Lime at least going to find a trade. The AWB of Han's been really impressive, very consistent over the course of Dust 2 so far. And JR has certainly started to slip a little bit in terms of his impact. Still finding a couple of kills in an eco. This is okay. But 13 to 10, you've got to think for HELLRAISERS, they've really limited the amount of opportunities going forward. You know, after we saw them win the pistol round, we were like, all right, you know, we're going to see a good fight. We're going to see them really clawing these rounds. But they've only been able to win 2 in this second half.
They really have struggled. The rifle's coming back in for this next one. The AWP face from Patrick against the AWP of JR. Who gets here first? Well, the flashbang will force JR off, so he won't be able to get the kill in. Backs up towards Carl for the next contact face in that longhouse position. Bomb getting dropped out towards the upper tunnels. I don't know if that was heard. Either way, Fate being very careful about this one. They realize the rifles are in. They do not want to lose control of this now.
A lot of quietness. Not really much being going on in terms of the map presence. Molly going out to this car position may force JR into a really awkward angle to try and fall back to side, but he's not punished. No one swings with it. Now they try and get into the pit position.
AK seeing Killing connects Molotov. Down towards Xbox, tries to force the player away. Nicky instead rotates out towards the longhouse position, going to go ahead and try and join his teammates who are still watching for a CT extension. AWP here could get found, but JR backs up the passive. He knows that they're making their way in. They'll go now. They'll have to cross towards him rather than him having to fight them. Flourish and JR with the crossfire now. No one's watching. Short smokes do come back. A re-smoke down from the CT cam. JR tries to get towards Gandalf. Molotov going to try and block him off here. He can't land the shot on Blocker. Refaces. Does get Patrick. Mar finds problem though. So a 4-on-4 scenario. Reface from JR. Doesn't burn here, but on 4 points of health. Blocker's also has to spray through the door. Or spray through the box, I should say. And they'll be able to get that kill in. Nade eventually found by Nicky. Kalinka falls to Nicky as well. 2 kills to his name. Lime gets the trade back. And they're trying to hold on. 15 seconds. The bomb's going to go down. 2-on-2. They found their way up. 10 seconds and Fate have got to get to the site. Han's got to be the man to do it. Mars nowhere to be seen. 4 seconds breakthrough. On Prong will be distracted. And just secured in time. Liam can't get Han. He gets out of dodge. 22 HP. The P2 gamer is up. And Mars got his teammates back straight from the plant right through to the end of the round. Whoa, that was a close call from Fate.
You don't get closer than that. Oh my goodness. The fact that Mar finds that kill doesn't allow Flourish to deny that bomb. I'm even surprised they even got that bomb down. Time was so low when it got dropped on the side. HELLRAISERS just making it so chaotic. Oh, but they don't make it work. And they're not playing Pro T. They're forcing. What? Why? Look at the money. They got like 3K. Why are they forcing? Ugh. Classic CIS
want to
teams,
play
right?
for overtime.
Yeah.
They were like that on the first map, remember?
Yeah.
They were a similar position, about 14-10 down. And they decided, you know what? Nah, this ain't for us. And to their credit, HELLRAISERS
made it work.
Did make it work, and they made it to overtime. They just weren't able to win the map overall. So, Scouts from Masters M4s, it's questionable on paper, but based on how they've done so far, let's give it a little bit of leeway here, see what they can do.
All right, we'll give it a little bit of an inkling. Bit of hope. And it really just comes down to these scouts, I would say, being the long-range weapons, seeing if they can find some tags to make it a little bit more of an easy cleanup for the rest of the weapons. Oh, Kalinka. Oh, there we are. Okay, that's a good start.
It's a scout shot as well to take down a rifle player. Big opener for HELLRAISERS. Will they be able to turn it and convert it into a round? Patrick turning away, playing anti-flash against Problem and JR. Sees Problem takes it down, takes the fight against JR. Doesn't land that shot with a scout, so 2 kills found. B-side's open, and he's going to realize that very quickly. They've got a direct line in for the rotation.
He needs to make sure, though, that he's holding onto this site, that they're not retaking in. And even for Han, taking down Kalinka, this pretty much secures the round, and they're waiting for the over-aggression. Flourish is the last one left. This force by not working out at all. This should be 15 on the board. Only 1 kill goes the way of HELLRAISERS.
Wow. Domination from Fate in these last handful of rounds. Good scout shot for Kalinka, credit. But that was it, you know, that was the only kill they found in that one. And for Fate, it means confidence, it means positivity. They've got plenty of money, so they've got plenty to fall back on, assuming HELLRAISERS win this next force by round. But even then, 15-10, map and match point for Fate. Orb already facing, ready for first contact. Smokes go down, flash is over, so he's not allowed the first kill this time.
Long control's taken, though, from the HELLRAISERS side, so they can start to back off their players and maybe just leave a single of JR. You've got to think, in terms of the buy, with not really having a lot of utility, it needs to be some sort of aggression, some sort of raw peaks to come through on the city side. They can't just play passive and deep in the sides because they'll just get overwhelmed. Especially with 2 for Masters. Fate. It all just comes down to who can find the opening kill, who can find the early impact.
Orp is ready to take that first frag. Molotovs, Lion, backing up. Nades in. Flashes over against him. We'll try and force him out towards mid position. 40 seconds left. And the T's got to make their way in. Just got to find a way up towards the A side. They have wasted so much time on this default. It's going to be manic and quick. Kalinka Boosted up top of Gandalf area. You got one player slowly pushing out. They're going to go out towards mid to B. No one's going to check the Hiko spot. 2 players, 3 players being found. And Mar and Harm will chime back in. 10 seconds and wants to make his way up to the site though. And Mar goes falling. And they fall to the exact same setup that they had on their CT side.
The thing is, they just run the clock too far low, Jay. You've got a single play. I mean, no one's really selling the fake there towards that short position. You've got Mar that is just, like, creeping. Like, he's not making noise. They're not selling the utility. That was just a very uncharacteristic round from Fate. After what we've seen from them on the T side, it's so surprising that finally when they get to 15, they start to make a slow, fakey round like that. I think they just need to go back to standard defaults, not running down the clock, and using their aggression, using that raw aim potential to overwhelm the HELLRAISERS side. It almost felt like they were overthinking things and they were too pressured now that they knew that they were up against Series Point.
Tactical pause. From Fate now, just need to go past that final hurdle. They don't need much in the tank. They've still got plenty to buy with. HELLRAISERS still got 4 to go to bring this back to OT, and they did it on Inferno. AK's AWP set. AK's in for the 3 CT individuals on the HELLRAISERS side. Safe from that last round. Plenty of firepower for them, but got to deal with the Fate execution when it comes through. Another slow round. This worked against them last time around here.
I think they need to turn up the tempo a little bit. You know, slow it down and getting the map control, but going into that execution, don't let the clock run down any lower than 20-25 seconds. Now, Lime, I think that was a missed smoke actually out from mid to cross into Xbox. So Lime was able to get a little bit of information for the CT side, but really there's only one player towards the A bomb site, and that's JR.
A minute to the clock. Flashes over. Mar on that short position is going to be joined by the majority. I mean, all 5 of his teammates are there. JR, top of the boxes. Slopes down, here comes the hit. Blocker, Molotov. And JR still sits in his corner, gonna be the emergency insurance policy. Jumps up, sees them all, and now calls it in.
Rotations have to come through, but they need to deal with that AWP of Han. Very difficult angle. They need to make sure they're using their utility well because they've got a lot of it. Good shot coming into Han to start it off.
And blind against the second player, can't quite find the frags. M4's in, lands a leg shot, Blocker comes up with that kill instead. 5 on 3, Molotovs burning hard alive. Problem gets that kill, but Nicky responds to it. And it's a 4 on 2 scenario. Now just left to 1, Flaric. All that remains, gets that hit on the first man, desperately looking for the second and the third, doing damage, but not getting the kills. 16-11, Fate are going to 2-0 HELLRAISERS as they